I'm Chris Thomas, and this is Master Class.
Shinzi right. Sensei Tom. Us. And everyone.
What's your name? Ezra? Really nice to meet you, Ezra.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so I've never met Ezra before. He was teaching, doing a great job. Really had everyone was motivated and was following along. There was good energy in the room. So I thought, well, okay. But I just shook Ezra's hand and I went, man, that's a strong, meaty hand. So I just want to make an observation. This is me, and this is Ezra. So when we free spar, we judge distance and we do this kind of stuff. But if you're just sitting around, you're having, with your friends, and somebody bumps into you and they decide that that's a good reason to get into a fight, they're going to do one of a couple of different things. One of them is they're going to grab onto you. Don't go anywhere. They'll be like, and most people are right-handed, so most of the time we'll do this. Sometimes they'll do left-handed. And there's a couple different ways in which that grab occurs. They can grab and stabilize. Sometimes they even grab you by the throat, but they'll grab and stabilize, grab by the shoulder. Sometimes they'll grab and push this way because they're trying to turn you so they can punch you in the back of the head. That's really nasty. And sometimes they'll grab and pull, which usually means this hand is coming up low. Okay? So let's say he gives me that kind of energy. He's pushing, and he's going to punch me in the back of the head. So I'm going to go like this. Ah! Let's be honest. That's what happens. It's none of this. Hey, I'm a karate guy, and I'm going to block you. No, that's not going to happen. It's going to be what? Ah! And it's going to hit me, and he's going to do it again, and I'm going to be here like this. And at some point, I'm going to go, wait a second. I'm in a fight. So that moment is what I call. You're going to hear me say this a lot. Win on the first beat. But the first beat is my first conscious movement. Never fight the flinch, that natural reaction, but understand that it puts me out of alignment. He's in a strong position, and I'm like, But I want you to notice his arm is slightly bent for me. And right where the arm bends, it's right there. Right there. If I took a $2 piece and put it right there, that's the spot I'm looking at. It's right like that. Okay? And it's right there. So if I'm here, all I need to do is hit that and pretend I'm getting ready to do ageuke. Okay, that's all I'm going to do. So I'm just going to do ageuke. Okay? Let's do it on the other side so you can see this. Right? So here he is. He's giving me that energy. I'm turned away. That punch comes. It's like, ah! And then I do ageuke. Wait. Now, I want you to pay attention to the details. Detail number one, I hit his arm. I'm not aiming. I'm letting his bicep literally will guide my hand where it needs to go. I'm going to hit with this motion like I want to bring it to my hip because I want to be in this position. Okay? When he first grabbed, this hand came here. See it? Gives me that pushing energy. You got to push it out. That's turn me. Right? This hand is here. So there it is. I just hit him. I kind of like that. But also, do you notice I still have your hand? So I have contact here. I didn't go like that. I'm holding on. I'm using this part. This is called closing the armpit, the traditional term for it. I close the armpit. That keeps control here. It's very light control. He can let go if he wants. But there's touch here, which means I can control it again and do ageuke. Now, when he grabs, and I'm here, bang, there's an elbow in the way, but I'm doing ageuke. Ageuke doesn't mind that because it just goes around it. I mean, that's what it does. In fact, I'm not trying to go around that's my guide. See? One, boom, like that. So in this very basic movement, I hit the arm, I control the hand, I hit the face, I come back, I'm grabbing on to hold, and I'm doing ageuke. All I'm doing is going 1, 2. So the only thing that happens is my body turns, and then I step. And well, sometimes you can't reach with this hand, so you just do this. Yeah, actually, this is how we teach it. So that the methodology, I kind of wanted to get all of the pieces in a little bit, at least of the upper body. And even so, I left out a bunch. Because I wanted you to just get it like, wow, this is really complex. A little bit like eating sushi, right? Think about think about sushi, right? It's rice and seaweed and spicy tuna and cucumber, so that's my favorite roll. But then you have to dip it in soy sauce and wasabi mixed together. That's a lot of flavors. And then after you eat that, you grab a slice of pickled ginger, the gari, and you throw that in there, and it suddenly, what should taste sour tastes sweet, and it's like amazing chemistry in my mouth. There's a lot going on. But then when you're trying to explain to somebody what sushi is, what do? Well, raw fish. You start with its most basic elements. So that's what we do. And I just wanted to give you a taste of the complexity, and even so I left out the gari, and I left out the wasabi, and I left out the soy sauce. Okay. So when I'm teaching a white belt, so let's do the white belt version. The white belt version, this hand just grabs, and it locks on here. So this is one of the main training values, is anytime something comes and touches my body, I try to touch it with my outside hand. Right? So if it's on this side of my body, it's this hand comes up and grabs and touches. And if it's on the other side, it's here. And it doesn't matter which of his hands it is, I'll just use that hand. Did you see him try to pull it away? Did you notice it stuck there? So let me ask a really simple question. Who's holding on to whom?
Yeah, I would say you're holding on to me.
Right. So what I've done is I've changed the dynamic of this encounter from let go to, oh yeah, that's okay. But would you like your hand back?
Oh, one day.
Excuse me. I need help over here. This guy's attacked me, right? I'm in mortal danger. From a white belt perspective, we would train the technique this way. Here's the grab. It's this energy. It's this pushing energy that turns my body, causing me to strike here into the arm. But I'm going to hold on to this hand this way, like that. Now he's braced out now. He's like, I know what's coming. Go ahead, push. Boom. And he's wisely got his hand up to guard because he knows what's coming. Bam. But that hand is there, and that's okay. I like that because now I don't have to worry as much. But here's the other piece of it that I want you to add. So we're doing, this is now considered 1, 2, right? Step on the back foot. So you hit a front stance, step on the back foot. Don't worry about it. If you miss the back foot, that's okay. But pretty much the back foot is going to be under the back shoulder. So you don't necessarily, don't try to look for it. Just step under their back, under their far shoulder. And it'll probably be there. And if it's not, that's okay. Just get into a really good front stance. Because what will probably happen if you go under the shoulder and you miss the foot, you're like, I missed. But you get a good front stance, your knee will bump. So that's why you do that stuff in Kata. It's because it's already building the protection and the outcomes that you're after. So the white belt version is 1, 1, 2. So you see 3 points of contact, right? 1, 2, 3. Wait, there's 4 points of contact. And, as long as it's here, I might as well just tuck it back a little more because, I'm a karate guy and we like to pull our hands to our hips. Okay? See how his body is broken up and stretched out? On the other hand, my body is in pretty good position. 1, 2. See that? Pretty simple. So you just trap the hand, and if you want, grab onto the meaty side of the thumb, strike at the arm, step, do age-uke, allow that foot to reach out. Your partner now, and this is training, not. So there's layers to how we train this. This is the first level of training. You kind of learn the thing, your partner grabs and does that. And then the next level is they'll grab you and they'll kind of try to smack you in the head a few times so that it's a little more energy. The next level, we would put headgear on you so they try to smack you a little bit harder so that you have a lot of I really need to get this to work. And we keep playing that. Armor gets added. There's a version where your eyes are shut and then you have to respond, your eyes open and there it is. There's all these techniques we do to help train it to a place that you're able to do it when you need to. But right now, you're just learning it. So right now, I'm trying to teach you the vocabulary of Kata. This is white belt version, right? But now let me take it up one more step from there. One, now watch this. First let me show you my body motion is gonna go this way. See that?
Yep.
Okay, so I go one.
Do I take my hand away or leave it there?
Oh, you're, boom, wait, look at that. I just hit you in the head, and I hit you in the head again. That's the same motion, that was, yeah.
I know the move, yeah.
Right, so this is just me doing, but I'm just doing age-uke. I'm not thinking elbow strike. I'm turning and doing age-uke, and so it gives me elbow fist. Then that also gives me this variation, because I'm here, and you throw that punch at my head. Oh, there's my block.
But it's a strike.
See how this bump on my fist is right in your temple, and I didn't aim.
Ah.
I did the kata movement,
Ah.
and this motion puts your head there pretty reliably. Yeah, and it goes right there. Because this question comes up, I didn't bother saying. I was trying to shortcut the teaching process by saying step towards that back foot. What I was really saying was get closer. That's really. I was also saying step on that back foot, right? But the first thing to overcome is our desire to create space. So Wally J. Do you know who Wally J. was? Professor Wally J. Yeah. Yeah, and Leon. So if you ever get a chance to train, Professor is dead. His son Leon is in my opinion, he was the one who got it. I saw some of the other people who were called professors in that group, watch them teach, and I thought, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. And then Leon got up and I went, that's it. So if you get a chance to train small circle jiu-jitsu with Leon J., do not pass up that opportunity. Nod your heads if you understand. Okay. By the way, I'm not saying that because Leon and I are buddies. We've only crossed paths a few times. We're not. I like him, but we're not friends, right? You understand this? I have friends who I'd be like, oh yeah, train with my friend because, I want to, but this is not that. I'm not trying to support a friend. I'm telling you, he's just the guy. Anyway, Wally J used to have a saying. He said, space equals escape. Okay? So you can see how if I grab and pull, I'm unbalancing. That's good, right? There's a great arguments for stepping back as we do this technique. And I go like this, boom, and oh, wow, look at that alignment. That's really nice. But there's also all of this space where he can get away, where he can do something unexpected, where he can mess me up. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop and rotate. So physically my motion, let go for just a second, my movement's going to be like this. I get pushed, so I'm standing this way. I'm just going to go like this. All right, see what I'm doing? In other words, I just rotate my body and I drop. And then from here I step. So if I'm just working across the floor, that means I'm going like this. Right? There's only two ways the body moves if you're going across the floor. One way is this way. We call this positive rotation. And the other way is this way. We call that splitting. So if I'm using the age-uke as my reference point, age-uke positive rotation looks like this. Age-uke with splitting rotation looks like this. Okay? So if I'm doing the kata pinyin number, you guys say 1? It's actually number 2, but for ease, it's usually done first. So pinyin, so we're used to saying pinyin shona. There are 3 age-ukes in a row. I do them all different. Completely differently, each one.
Steps on how you move your...
Even the footwork and the body motion, they're all completely different. Yeah, and my assumptions. So now let's look again. So he's going to have this leg forward. Nobody grabs this way except in a dojo. He wants to punch me. If I can step away, holding on here, using my body mass, which means I don't step away, I drop and push back. This is, by the way, when you use back stance, because back stance is about pushing away. So he's throwing a punch, and I push away. You see how I neutralize a lot of the energy of that punch? I'm not actually pulling it into me, because I'm pulling here, this shoulder gets stuck. And he might still hit me, but a lot of that energy is gone. See the back stance? That's what back stance is for. It has back stance has 2 main purposes. Purpose number 1 is it's the thing you use to resist being pulled or to pull against. So that's one purpose. Here's the other purpose of back stance. The other purpose of back stance is I don't necessarily want him to know that I'm penetrating his guard. Please don't hurt me. You see? So now I have control of this leg. And a transition to a front stance gives me control, but he doesn't see that coming. He can't see that. He just sees me drop in front of him like I'm scared. So the other purpose for back stance is it allows you to sneak something in without that being obvious. In other words, you don't change your eye to move a foot into the combative space. Wow, was that ever a dark chocolate sea salt caramel diversion? All coming off the fact that we're talking about this idea of pulling back and hitting. But if I just sink and rotate, notice how his head hit me in the shoulder, which means I can potentially, the knockout can already happen here. Boom. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. I mean, I'm only half sorry because I didn't need you to feel it. But you understand, he just got hit. And we're there. Now watch where my Agiyuke goes now. See, it's going to come to the back of his head as I step and chase after that back foot, which I missed. Oh, but I still bumped it. And I turn my body. This downward angle goes right into the back of his skull at the correct angle to disrupt his consciousness. Yes, yes. Wasn't that weird? Now, you know I didn't hit you. I did this. Yeah. But you felt the energy go right through. And it went like this direction, didn't it? Yes, like a shock wave. And that's just me doing the technique. I'm not chasing it. I don't know how to explain this any better than this. When I go teach in the world, one of the things I say over and over again is just do the kata. The kata movement already solved the problem. So you got to ask me those questions. But as you're asking those questions, understand that the answer is not me going, oh, I know the answer to that. I would just do this. It's the kata knows the answer. It's already there. You just do the kata. And then my job is just to point it out. So let's take a minute now and just concentrate on that piece of it, right? And let me add one more, let's make that a little deeper. So let's focus on the point a little more carefully. This is lung 5, Chise. In Chinese, my pronunciation's terrible, so that's why we tend to use the alphanumeric. Lung refers to the meridian. So lung meridian, technically the lung meridian for this arm starts here with the lung on this side, and then the energy travels this way, runs down the arm, and ends up down there on the tip of the thumb. So lung 5 is this point. It's what we consider a hit point. So when you hit it, the angle and direction, you hit it, and then you have to like hook it this way, like the shape of the letter C, like this. See that? Now here's the good news on that. There's a couple things that you need to know. First, that's actually how the point reacts. So I did it very small. I put no body into it. But let's say I'm off the point. Watch me use those mechanics. It still works pretty good, right? So what the cool thing is that the angle and direction of the point, if I miss the point, I still have something that still works pretty good. Because my job here is to disrupt balance. So let's pretend somebody grabbed and pushed. We'll start here on this side. So that means my body's angled. So notice how my foot is opened up. I'm at a 45-degree angle. And my hands are like, please don't hit me. Take your left hand, trap. Take your right hand, and you're going to drop it down with this sort of C shape. And at the same time, you're going to turn your body like this and sink down and try to keep your body nice and straight. Be careful not to lean. And then just step out with your right leg, and then Agiyuke, and as you Agiyuke, let your body turn to face. I guess we're on this angle here. Now let's go back and do the same thing on the other side. So I got grabbed, my hands come up, oh my goodness, and I end up, because I got pushed in this sort of awkward slight angle position because they want to hit me in the back of my head. Trap the arm. This is going to be that C-shaped movement with now it's my left hand, and I'm going to sink down, and it's my left knee is kind of the one that's moving. And then reach out with my left foot, go into front stance, and turn and let my body face out as I do Agiyuke. Good. Okay, now try that. Did I drop it?
You did.
Yeah, it's when I was teaching, I was explaining the angle and direction of energy.
That's enough.
Yeah, but the truth is, all you need to do is this.
And get in, not here, but round the back.
So what'll happen is, that's where I'll be. So I'm going to tap you very lightly. But
I know what's going to happen. That's not good.
But what I want you to understand is that I'm not going to move my arm relative to my body, okay? So I'm not going to move my arm. I'm just going to turn. See, that's just body turn. That's all that is. So Yeah.
It's not going to be pretty. No, it's go to sleep material.
And then obviously from here, what comes next? Well, I'm sure it depends on the kata.
Yeah, what part are we doing? We're not. We're just doing that.
I'm just working with the one technique isolated out, but think pinyan number one. So we've done 3, right? So you're here, you go 1, 2, 3. So let's pretend this is the third one. I went here, bang, boom, right? And then this, I wrap, and then I'm going to turn this way. That you understand that because I hit him on the head, so he can't fight me anymore. He's basically a standing knockout, we would say. And all you have to do is find perfect agayuke position. Your angle will be right. So this is the angle of energy. It's down and slightly back, and you don't do it. You just let your body take care of it. But that's his head. So now this hand's going to come down around, and this hand's going to grab onto like his chin or his beard. And then I'm going to turn and do down counter. It's not the down counter, it's the turn. So this technique ends here. New technique is that. Yeah, because once you have the head in that position, so it's about this turn.
Oh yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah. You have to knock him out first. In other words, you have to be like this.
I can totally feel what's going to happen. I know what's going. No, I don't know, but I know the basics of where it's going.
You can feel the physics of this body movement with your head locked to my body.
I have a question.
Yes, good.
Your angle, when you talked about a C, because watching what some of them are doing, some of them aren't. Some of them are going like this.
Yep.
But I have a feeling you are
Yes.
taking this angle because that is harder to resist. Whereas when they go down,
Yes.
it kind
Yes.
of, you almost stop yourself.
Yes. All right, come on back for a second.
That's the Leon.
Come.
That's the Leon James.
So he's going to explain something because he was like double checking, but he had it actually right. So I'm going to have him explain it to you. What's your name again? Kent. Kent is going to explain it to you. Now just listen to him, right? Because this is what we were talking about. He was asking me what I was doing.
Well, only I ain't saying it because
Here,
I just
let's
been
come
watching
this
and I
way
could see some
so
people
they can
doing
see.
it one way and some people doing another, and I could see what looked like it was working for some of you and not the others. Some of you were going like this, straight down, and I think Stevie and so. Whereas what I was asking was, is the correct motion actually this C? So it's that way. So it's a lot harder for him to resist that than if I just push him straight down. It's just So it was.
So let me make sure that you're clear on what he was doing. So there were 3 things that he did, though he only talked about one of them. So I want to make sure you know what all 3 were. Okay? So he was saying, he's right. If you just come down on this, won't work, period. Just won't. I've watched people do that forever. I'm always, no, not down on the arm. Stop hitting down on the arm. So when he was doing it correctly, he did 2 things. One of them was a thing, we have fancy terms for this, but it's called confusing the joint. Or another term we use, depending on how we're talking, hit, penetrate, deviate. But he was hitting, and then he was kind of doing this move. You see that little C shape? So he was doing a C shape this way, 2 C's. One C shape is this way, but the other C shape was this way. He did 2, right? So he went out and in, and he went down and back. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's complex torque is another name for that kind of dynamic, where you have more than one plane of movement. So it's not just, but it has this little out back thing happening. It's very subtle. So how do you get there? So that's the second thing you need to understand. What he was really thinking about is as he was hitting down here, he was thinking of drawing his elbow to this hip, even while he's drawing his hand to this hip. So a lot of times when people will set these things, they go like this, and they're thinking hand here. He was thinking elbow here, and then hand here. So that means the armpit was closed. So if you're having trouble trying to go, how do I go out and in and around? Just think as you hit to draw this elbow. So this is my left elbow. I'm going to draw it to my left hip while I'm guiding my right hand to my right hip. This way. See how tight it is? And if you have doubts, stick your hand in your armpit and squeeze really tight. Do that now. Stick your hand in your armpit, squeeze really tight so it's hard for you to pull your hand out. That's how it should be all the time. Number three, third thing he did, when he was sitting straight down, he faced me. As soon as he did it the correct way, he turned, which means his body was adding to all of those other things he was doing. Okay, so he picked it up, and then he showed you. So if you were not getting it, do what he did. Thanks, Kent. Everyone say thank you, Kent. Yes. I'm going to move completely off the technique that we're doing. But just so you can see this, let's say that, so he gives me a push, and I go, whoa, oh no, he's going to hit me in the head, right? And I go, no, he's not. Now, you go, oh, he did a finger lock, but that's not what I did. I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Understand? So if I get good at anything, he starts pushing, and I'm like, whoa, that looks like one movement, right? But it's not. I still did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how I do it in my head. So at first it's 1, then do 2, then do 3, then do 4, then do 5. And next it's do 1. Now while you're doing 1, start doing 2. While you're doing 2, start doing 3. And what you find is that your brain, once you have the intention to do a thing, so you can do this. Like if you're going to grab your teacup, right, which I'm about to do. If you go for your teacup, you don't have to pay attention. Once you've decided to grab your teacup, you can keep having the conversation because the intention will take care of itself. In other words, your nervous system will just handle it on autopilot. So once you do number 1, you can already start doing number 2 because number 1 is now on autopilot. So at first, play around with doing it like 1, 2. And then later, even though your mind is going 1, 2, your body, they start to smear together. So this is actually one of the secrets to mastery is to not try to, everyone rushes to the ending. You don't. You just do everything sequentially. And it just looks smooth. I just want to point something out to you. I've literally shown you one pressure point. And let's say you forgot that pressure point and somebody grabbed you. Could you still do this move? Yeah. So that's the thing, and this is part of, I don't know if this makes me good or is an expression of my struggles, but I'm not a natural athlete. I don't have those, I just didn't, I was like, yeah. I realized I had to look at the movement and see everything that was there and do as much of it as was meaningful in the moment. And then if I screwed something up, I still had a lot going on. So this is what, you'll hear me talk about the pizza rule. This is the pizza rule. Good technique is like pizza. When it's great, it's fantastic. And when it's bad, it's still pretty good because it's pizza. Right? So there it is. These techniques, I'm showing you good bunkai, and I've shown you a single pressure point. But in a couple cases, I've pointed out, did you notice how my hand went right here? Like a couple of you in these smaller conversations, I said, where did my hand, so like I was explaining, like showing one of the ways in which this technique works, and where did my hand end up? Somebody want to mention that? Like, did I do it on you, Kent? Or? Gosh, it was right on the temple. Now, in my world, that means I was hitting, and it turned out angle and direction being what it is, I was hitting gallbladder 20, or triple wormer 23 and gallbladder 1, very nasty place to hit. And I was also in the region of Taiyang, also very nasty place to hit, though the angle was really better for the gallbladder and Sanjiao points, but there they were. But I didn't say that. I didn't say, here's a pressure point. We just talked about, and that's not a good place to get hit, but I didn't say, here's why. But the thing is, it happened. So you, without knowing it, were consistently, you're shooting that hand up there. I'd look around and go, yep, there it is, large intestine 18. Oh, well, look, they found it. Right? You're going to the points because when the body reacts to an attack, it will tend to give you the next thing you need to go after. So pressure point fighting, people are like, you can't do that in a real fight. You can, because the minute you hit a point, a new point presents itself, and then you don't even have to try to chase it because the movement of the katas already knows that, and it's already working in that direction. But having said that, let's go ahead and be more intentional about doing a pressure point. Okay. We're going to do large intestine 10. So take your own arm, start there. And if you just sort of bend your arm a little bit, you notice this muscle off to the side. It's called the radiobrachialis. And if you were to just take 4 fingers and you lay your index finger along the cubital crease and then just kind of, it's these 3 fingers, they'll kind of find points on their own. We say large intestine 10, that's this one, but there's 8 and 9 are there too. The good news about this is you kind of can't miss. Any one of those will work. Now just kind of dig around in there for a second, see if you can find a spot that's kind of tender. Like, oh, that kind of hurts. Okay, did you find that? All right, then put your hand out, kind of, you can do a full twist. Yeah, do like a full twist punch, and then tighten up so it's kind of hard. And then take your own hand like you're knocking on the door and rap on that point hard enough for you to feel it. Like, if you don't feel it, you missed. Right? It should be right there, and it should be like, ow, that hurts. And if it doesn't hurt, you're doing it the wrong direction. So figure out where it is and make it hurt. Make it hurt, and the feeling shouldn't just be like the impact of the hitting, but it has this kind of deep, like, almost muscle crampy feel to it. Got that? I'm going to have you do one more thing. I already mentioned this anyway. Just take your hand and kind of dig up here, right inside your shoulder. You're going to feel a spot that's a little bit tender. Feel that? Yeah. That's, and there's another one a little bit lower, a couple beats lower than that. And that's your long meridian. So it'd be long 1 or 2. We don't really care which one of those two, but, just kind of find it. And you're like, okay. And now we're going to put a technique together. We're going to do this for me, this is new because this was Motueka. We're doing Chudanuke. So you guys call it Yoko Uchi? Uchi-uki. Yeah, okay. Sorry. And so just to understand, terminology is irrelevant, but the terminology we tend to use for myself in my group of people, we say this is Geidan-uke, or sometimes we'll say Geidan-barai, which means downward sweeping. This is Chudan, which means middle level. The Age actually means rising, as opposed to Jodan, which means upper. So we'll use either one. And the word uke we do not translate as block, we translate as counter. So this is middle counter. Guy attacks me, so I counter with this movement in the middle range. Counter with a movement that rises upward. Counter with a movement that goes downward. So that's how we language it, and that helps us get away from this mentality of, I'm being attacked, I have to defend myself, as, thank you for giving me something to hit. Well, see, that's the good news. This arm reached out. Did you have any trouble finding this pressure point? No, because it was right there. It wasn't going anyplace. Relative to you, it wasn't moving in space. It was right there, so it's easy to hit. Pressure points are actually stupidly easy to hit, unless you're chasing it. Don't chase the pressure point. Somebody said to a grandmaster of a style, I won't say who it was or anything, but I've trained with him, so I know that he knows his stuff, good guy. But he was saying to, we had a shared student. He was saying to this student, he said, yeah, pressure points work, but it's kind of like brain surgery. It works great, but you can't do it when the patient's running around the room. So our shared student comes to me in the next training session. He's like, what do you say to that? And I said, well, that's why you strap the patient down. Okay, first thing I did every time was I strapped the patient down. Now they can't run all over the room because I got them. All right, so here I need body. So I'm working off the same kind of scenario, but this time instead of that kind of pushing energy, which turns me away, which requires me to deal with this, and you understand, here's one of the things that Age-uke does. So he's throwing that punch to my head. So even if I don't get my technique in, I still ended up protecting my head, right? And if I am in good position and he's still throwing that punch, it still gets stopped. So Age-uke is already covering my head while it's hitting. So this part of the arm guards your head while this part of the arm attacks the enemy. So you have, we say, multiple points of contact. But if the energy is less push and more just stabilized, like he's just trying to hold me in position, now I'm facing him. I want to see this coming, which means I'm more likely to work somehow on the outside line, right? So this is called outside line, right? So now I'll show you the difference between the way I would teach this technique, but you're going to do the one that we did last week because it's a really great technique. So here's, just for you to see, the way I would teach this is that punch comes in, I'm going to hit here. Do you see how I control this arm in my armpit while I'm hitting the incoming arm? I grab, and there's my middle counter. So now switch sides so you can see it from this side. That punch comes in, I go here, there's the hit, grab, strike. and I have control. When I hit here, I'm controlling his arm with my armpit. And I still have contact and control here. Right, so that's how I teach middle counter. That's white belt level. White belt's the wrong term. First level practice. But we're in Motoeke, and I work off the same set. Right, this position's the same. But you guys, you have here for Agiyuki, but you did like this, right? So we're going to do that. So let's start with the outside part. So an arm comes across, and when it comes across, you're going to attack. There's large intestine 10. It's right there. Right? Now, when you go after it, I mean, if you're super good, you can punch it. Now I'm going to assume he's got just a teeny bit of angle here, but if he doesn't, you just have to kind of be mindful of where the point is. I'm actually going to hit it with a kind of hammering movement, but I'm trying to get to this position over here, right? So I want this hand to come this way, across. So it's going to have a little bit of a feeling like what you did before. Here, bang, like, and see, now let's just watch the mechanics here for just a second. Let go. Now I'm going to have you just do something super annoying for me. You don't have to do much, just go like this. Yeah, go ahead and smack me in the head, just like that. Keep doing that. See, it's really annoying. Don't stop. No, I mean actually smack me in the head. Yeah, that's really annoying. Again. Understand that when I take this and I push it this way, he can't reach my head very well. So before I get to the point, I just want to take this elbow and get it to go that way because that's going to make that hard. But if I can hit that, that's even better. But this hand is going to come across, and as it's going to come across, this is going to hit that way into the chest. And then from here, pop that middle counter. And here's the good news. Feel free to go the other way. We'll stay on this side first, and then we'll switch. So now, here I'm thinking this is the hand with which I conclude my technique. So when I hit, it's got this kind of almost down and in feel to it, and then I'm here and here. See how I'm right up against his body? But if I go the other way and say this is the down hand, here's the top hand, boom, boom, I hit this way, and now it's the same technique. Do you see where my elbow is? Do you see where my elbow is? Wait, that's the point I punched. In other words, I hit that point, bang here, and then I pop it again on my way to do and I'm not thinking elbow strike. I'm just doing middle counter. But it turns out there's an elbow strike in there. So what we're talking about is large intestine 10 here. It's a hit point, and the feeling is like you're trying to drive that elbow towards center line. And the other point is up here, just in the shoulder. This is lung 1 or 2. Either one is fine. And I really want, when I hit that, I want this to be kind of stretching outward a little bit. See how that opens up the shoulder? Makes that more vulnerable. It's not quite as vulnerable if the shoulder is closed. So this motion here opens that up, and it kind of pushes them together. Or here, either way. So now let's grab from the other side so you can see again the feeling. So this arm, I'm not trying to hit, though if you can, that's great. I don't trust my skill set. My eye-hand coordination ain't that good. So I have a slight angle, more of a hammering feeling towards center line. This hand hits here. All right, if I stay inside line, boom, here, bang, here. If I go outside line, which means I'm going to step with this foot over to the outside, then I'm going to do the same thing this way, here. There's different kinds of fighting. There's we agree to a match. Let's take this outside. Now we're in a duel. But you looking at my wife? No, that's not a duel, that's self-defense. So that's when those grabs happen. But I'm just using these as reference points, because there's another version of this that goes like this. Fucking bitch, I'm just gonna kill you, right? Same technique. You do it exactly the same way. Or, hey babe, right? Same techniques. You just do the same thing. So, but one of the reasons we love to use these kind of grabs and hits is the energy that they give, because sometimes an attack sometimes an attack doesn't feel like an attack until you realize that hand should not be there. At which point, you're like, how come I let them get their hand there? Well, because they didn't tell you it was a stealth attack. And then, so what do? He's got the hand there. It shouldn't be there. Let go of me, you beast. Or, open hand for this. Open hand for this. Cop in a field. That's what we call it. Why do you have your hand there? You just did that technique. That was the first technique we did. So it doesn't have to be push. I mean, we have a reference attack, but trust me. We used to have a joke that said we could develop a whole system of fighting based on just this. We used to joke that, remember the Macarena? we think we could develop self-defense based on the Macarena. You know, your kata is so dense you can literally take one move and solve 80% of the problems you would deal with. And so you have your reference thing. Oh, a guy punches me, I do this. What if he grabs you and chokes you? What if he does this? What if he does that? I still do the same thing. What that means is you don't have to solve the problem in the same way. You no longer have to think, if he does X, I do Y. If he does Y, I do Z. Which one is this? Oh, but now if it's the other hand, because then you freeze up and your brain goes, I don't know what to do. But if it's, I just do age uke. Hand touches me, I do age uke. And you just do it, and then you're fine. I'm using it to teach you different aspects of the art, but you can literally reduce your self-defense to one technique. That, by the way, was a brilliant question. Thank you for asking. Yeah. All right, can you try? Go. There are 2 questions that I got asked that I wanted everyone to hear answers to. First question was, it was over here someplace. It was about what if somebody's really big and they don't really respond very good, right? Who asked that question again? Yes, thank you. What was your name again? Michelle. Hi, Michelle. And this is absolutely an important question because I don't care who you are. I mean, you know, obviously Mia back there, Mia's, are you 15 yet? Yes. Mia's 15, right? If some guy grabs Mia and she's like, I'm going to hit you on the pressure point, then she might find herself in a situation where he goes, ow, that hurt. And it's just nothing, you know, right? So this is part of why I do the techniques the way I do them, is because when I travel around, I don't know who anybody is. I don't know if I grab someone, if they're going to respond easily to a pressure point or not, because some people, respond very, very well. Other people are like, yeah, I didn't feel that. It's a bell curve. So, you know, most people fall in this center character, but there's always somebody on the end who's like, yeah, that didn't work on me. Pressure points are BS. I know because they didn't work on me. Well, they work on 90% of the population really well. So just because they didn't work on you doesn't mean you shouldn't know them. But you do look like the biggest guy in the room. Can I borrow you for a sec? I love your dojo. It is beautiful. I step outside. Even the outside is beautiful. So congratulations not only on having a great teacher, knowing the right place to be, having wonderful energy here, but just taking such good care of your space. And I saw Ezra, okay, like cleaning the floor with a rag at the end of session. And I have to say, I wondered why everyone else wasn't with you, lined up with their own rags. But I was happy to see you doing it. I'm sure they did some, but yeah. Yeah. You don't get to quit. By the way, so lower ranks, just remember this. If sensei is still cleaning the floor, so are you. You don't go, I did my stripe. When sensei's done, then you can be done. Sorry. Dojo etiquette. Okay, big strong guy. I do not know how he's going to react, right? Plus, if I get nervous, I might just miss the pressure point anyway. And then if I do, it's still got to work for me. So let's just look at this for a second. So he's grabbed. I'm not going to hit the pressure point. I'm just going to use my body. Right? Didn't get that big cool reaction, did I? But did I get a reaction? Huh. So it turns out that this is, again, there's always going to be the one guy for whom this doesn't work. I met one individual. He was actually able to straight arm pick up my daughter. She was in her 20s at the time, which meant, she was not, she weighed, I don't know, probably 110 pounds or something. I don't know what that is in kilograms, I'm sorry. That's about 50 kilograms? Yeah, it's about 50 kilograms. And he's holding her like this, and she's just like hanging on, laughing hysterically, because, Okay. And certainly if somebody's brain gets all like, but I don't know what's happening. He's thinking of punching me in the head. I stop that punch. I'm like, oh, this guy is strong. I'm going to hit the pressure point. I may miss. He may react. He may not. But I need to make sure that I move myself in such a way that I still get something, even though it's not maybe the big result I wanted. But look at my position. Thank you for noticing. I have tremendous control because at this point, there's a couple things. I mean, if I just bump this way, I disrupt his structure. But if I just bring my other leg in, bam, I just have wonderful control here, right? There's the things I can do and get him stretched out. There's foot sweep, there's low punch. I mean, I can still fight in here really, really well. I may still lose that fight. So please understand that the rule of defending yourself, if you have to defend yourself, the rule is not, please don't hit me, please stop, please go away, I want to live. The rule is, you may kill me, but I will make sure that you will have permanent memory of this event. Right? And I will do whatever it takes. I will make sure that there's DNA under my fingernails. And if I can bite something off, I will bite it off. As one of my colleagues says, he's actually a modern arnis practitioner. Anyone know what that is, modern arnis? Yeah, a stick. Yeah, it's Filipino stick fighting. If you ever get a chance to train with Gabi Roloff, she's in Germany, or in the United States, either Ken Smith or Chuck Goss, or preferably combinations because they're often teaching together. These are some of the best stick people in the world, and they are my friends. But I'm not just saying it because they're my friends. They're actually really superb martial artists. Do that. Never waste that opportunity. But Chuck, he says, you may cut my head off, but I'm just going to pick it up and beat you to death with it. Have that attitude if you have to defend yourself. You can literally lose the fight and win the war. Yeah, there's a story I remember from years and years. Years ago, a woman goes into her house, and there's a guy waiting in the house. He attacks her, and she's like, oh, my daughter's in the other room. Oh, my goodness. So she like had taken some kickboxing classes or something, the exercise kind. So she tries doing a kickboxing move. This guy like grabs her, throws her into a wall. She breaks through the plasterboard on the wall, whatever you guys call it. She gets knocked into the wall, and then he runs away. She lost, but she won. Right? Yeah. So in answer to that question, good techniques are still going to give you a reaction, even if it's not the sweet, like the cool thing. Just understand this. If I'm doing a video like highlights, I'm going to find the people where the reaction is going to be dramatic. I mean, there's nothing better than me going, ding, ding, and somebody falls on the floor. That's great for selling. But I don't want to train that because I don't want to count on that. So I try to train a technique that's going to work on pretty much everybody. And that's actually one of the things that I think is why I get well received by many different dojos is because of that. I was talking to one guy and he's like, yeah, I trained with so-and-so. He's like one of my colleagues. I'm like, oh, he's a really good practitioner. I said, well, why didn't you? I said, what did you like? He says, techniques didn't work. They just didn't seem to work. I said, well, what's different between my techniques and his? And he went, well, your techniques work. Well, that's why, because I'm trying to make sure they work regardless. So, brilliant, important question. This is why the emphasis on mechanics, on movement, on structure, as well as on point work. Second question was about systems. I don't remember who asked this, but it was about, does the lung refer to the enlarged intestine? Did they refer to what we think of in the West as the lungs and the large intestine? Who asked that one? Yeah. I didn't catch your name, though. Greg? Okay. Because it's a great question, and I said, wait, all right, I want everyone to hear the answer. The answer is yes and. Yes and. So when we talk about the lung meridian, we're talking about a discrete line of energy that flows along the body. Think of it like a river or something. But it's also related to the physical organ, and it represents that whole process of respiration, of breathing, inhaling, and exhaling. So, do I have a body who's fairly responsive? It's easier for me to do this and explain if I got a good responsive body. Yeah, someone was like, I can, perfect. Yeah, your hand came up. Whoever you are. What's his name, Sean? Oh, thank you. Pacific Sun, Taekwondo. Okay, great. All right, so hopefully, see, I don't know him either, so I have no idea how he's going to do with the pressure points, whether he can respond. It's way easy if the points react really good for me to do this stuff. So let's see, let's start here. Yep, okay. So just watch what happens. So I'm on the lung meridian here. Pay attention to his body, but look here. See, 2 lungs, right? There's a meridian on each side, but this meridian affects that lung. Where did that lung go? What's this doing? What's the organ doing? What? Yeah, see how it's kind of trying to get away? Right? See, it's trying to escape? Right? Because I'm attacking the meridian on the arm, and yet it's affecting this lung. But there are 2 lungs. But can you grab two-handed? If I do large intestine, if I hit double up on large intestine, so I'm going to hit, I'm going to do something I shouldn't do, but sorry. In Tai Chi, we have this rule called double weighting, which says never be double weighted. So if I hit from equal energy on both sides, that's called double weighting. So this is not as effective. I'm going to move you here. I'm cheating to camera. I'm going to hit large intestine 10 from both sides with equal energy. That's not the best way to do it, but I want you, do you know what large intestine, the other name for large intestine is? Colon. So watch what happens. Where'd it go? Down and away. Yeah, it's trying to escape. It's trying to escape. So what happens is the systems are trying to protect themselves from the attack. And they do that by, in part, moving the physical organ away from the attack. With kidney and with lung, you have 2 of that organ, and so it's one side affects the other side. And it's generally the cross is on the upper body, and then the lower body is usually the same side, but don't overthink that. But you can see the body like trying to protect itself and move stuff out of the way accordingly, and that's what's important for you to understand, because the whole system is being affected. That's why when we did this combination, we're on the lung meridian. This shot here, that you were hitting large intestine, your body's going like this, trying to move this out of the way, sacrificed the lung. Oh, I hit lung. Suddenly lung is like, oh crap. Lung is trying to escape. And then the technique finishes up here in the breathing apparatus, which is all part of that same lung system, because every time your hand came right up on the throat. You all experienced that, right? You're like, that arm is on my throat. I don't think I like that. Not a pressure point technically, there is one there, but in this case it's just attacking the breathing, but it's all part of attacking that system. So that to me is a great example of how to think. So you think meridian and organ, but think system. It's larger functioning system. And that's how it's thought of in Chinese medicine, even though my version of Chinese medicine is like, how can I use this to hurt people? So a bell curve is it's a standard distribution curve. Everything follows a bell curve, so let's just start there. There's a bell curve for men and a bell curve for women. They overlap into a general bell curve for population. They're not exactly identical, but they're pretty, but they're both bell curves, and they just do the thing. And then they overlap, and then there's another bigger bell curve. It's just bell curves. Here's what a bell curve means. You start in the middle, the mean, and then you go what are called standard deviations. 2 standard deviations from the mean, you're at about 75% of the population falls into that, 75 to 80 some percent, falls into that 2 standard deviations from the mean. That's considered the norm or the average human response. So that's the biggest part of that curve, and within that chunk, people are pretty even. You're going to get a very predictable amount of response. Now, on one end, you start going 3 and 4 standard deviations out to the other end. You're going to have people who are extra reactive. So when I find the person who's like on the way end and they respond super easy, then I make sure to get pictures of them falling over or video of me doing it so they can use it in advertising. And on the other end, you're going to have people who are increasingly more difficult to do it on. But here's what we've seen over time, is that when we're training these techniques and we're actually hitting the meridians and stuff like that, that the person who is way super responsive, after some training, they're not as responsive anymore. And they're like, oh, this is really good. I used to fall over like crazy, and now I'm okay. Why? That extreme was can be an expression, not necessarily, but can be an expression of a kind of imbalance of energy. They're too far on one side, suggesting that there's an imbalance somewhere, so we were treating them. It was a treatment. We thought we were practicing self-defense, but we were actually treating our training partners in the process. They're happy. Then there's the ones who didn't feel it at first. And then a couple years later, they're like, dang it! At first, I didn't even feel this. Now it hurts like crazy. It's like, that's a good thing, because now that also represented an imbalance, and now you're more balanced. We've been treating you as well. So we have found our experience has been regular training, safe training, careful training, friendly training does have a positive benefit. By the way, let me just tell you, this is the health and safety announcement, which of course now I think of. We've been hitting a lot on the lung meridian and using that a lot because that's the one that's there. But you do need to know that if you've never done pressure point work before, it is possible to experience a little bit of lightheadedness or like a little shortness of breath. Same thing if you went to an acupuncturist, you'd never been to one before, you can experience a thing that's called needle shock, sometimes in English. It's just this weird experience that where your body's like, what? Energy moving, not ready for this. It's only the first time you train, typically, and it's not a big deal. Also, all of the meridians are connected to emotional states, so sometimes you'll get an emotional thing will happen. So, for example, if we're banging around on these metal meridians, and you find sadness coming up for some reason, like you suddenly find yourself remembering your dear beloved grandma who passed recently, and you're like, how come she's just on my mind, I'm feeling really sad. Well, that's what lung meridian, that's the emotional content it represents and holds on to. But the flip side of that is you can be hitting these lung meridians and find yourself being kind of scared, like, I don't know, this is kind of scary. Well, that's because lung tends to produce as an outcome water. Metal produces water, and water's characteristic state is kind of fear. I don't want to get off too far onto that, so let's do another technique. Oh, okay, thank you. So you got this move here, right? Yeah, what a great move. I love this technique. Of course, I always thought it was dumb. But then now I think it's fantastic. I'm very fond of it. But I need to be very clear about something. When I first learned that movement, I was told, okay, so the down hand comes behind the up hand, right? Did you learn it this way? And so what I'm going to tell you is that it's not actually, I have to be careful how I put this, because I don't want to say right or wrong. Let me talk about how I do it because of how I understand the meaning of the movement. So let's make some observations first. Go like this with, I don't care, just pick an arm and do this. And then take your other hand and pull against it, right? And try. Do you see how weak you are? Because when you do this, you're using your rotator cuff. And so then you start doing stuff like this and trying to yank it out. But if you're just trying to do that motion, that's a very weak motion. Because you're using this is rotator cuff movement, very, very weak. Now take that same movement, instead of going sideways that way, go that way, like forward, and now grab. Now it's strong, because now this is the direction your body wants to go. All right, so right away that says to me, why would I go like this, which feels weak, when I should be going forward, which is strong? Okay, so forward and back, not in and out. Okay, now it looks almost the same, right? You see me do the kata. If I'm doing the kata, and you're watching, you think I did this, but I went. And so in my mind, when I do this, my hands are not crossing each other, they just kind of pass each other. That's if I'm doing it without thinking of a particular bunkai. If I think of a particular bunkai, now it changes. So sometimes I'll put the up hand on the inside, but sometimes it'll go the other way. It'll switch around. So usually I learn down hand comes on the inside, but usually in application I find myself using up hand on the inside, down hand on the outside. Okay, so I'm just warning you that when I'm showing you this technique, that's a thing you'll see. I can also show you other bunkai that will start to look more like what you're used to doing, but I like to start with this one because this was the first bunkai that I was taught by my sensei for that movement, and it was like, oh, I love it. So I need a body. Why is somebody grabbing your wrist? Like people are like, nobody grabs wrists anymore. Why wouldn't? Here's why. You have a weapon, you're reaching for your weapon. Okay, so if we're standing here and we're close and I go for my sword, he grabs both my wrists because he doesn't want me to grab the sword. So that's where all of this joint stuff comes from off of wrist grabs, because you were going for your weapon. So now it's no longer, feudal Japan. I got a gun because I'm an American, right? So I pull my shirt up and I go for my gun and he grabs onto my wrists, right? Now we're in that same situation. Okay. There's another reason. He's yelling at me, blah, 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 blah. How dare you? Right? I'm like, I'm out of here, dude. Don't you walk away from me. See it? Makes perfect sense. He's going to grab me there or here. It's on one of those two. And then from here, it's like he pulls me, and I'm like, oh, okay, right? Then we just move into whatever comes next. So he grabs both my wrists. Notice how I didn't hand them over. Thank you, by the way. You positioned yourself perfectly. I didn't even have to do anything. I'm going to have you do this so they can see. There's a point that I'm interested in. The point is located. Here's the brachioradialis muscle. We found that lung 5 was right there. If I track right down that to the end of the muscle where the tendon connects, point's called lung 6. Where a tendon connects to a muscle, there's some fibers in there. I think that's where the body of Golgi is located, and that is to say if that tendon and the muscle, because the weak spot is where they connect, you understand? You're less likely to rupture a tendon in the middle, more likely to tear the tendon off the muscle. So the body monitors that. There's also, this is the middle of the forearm, but that means the middle of the bone. This is the radial bone, middle of a bone. There's also a sensor. It's in the shape of like a mushroom, so it's called a fusiform fiber. And what it does is it makes sure that the bone isn't going to break. And if I trigger this point and convince his spinal column that either the tendon's going to tear or the bone is going to break or both, he has to let go. So here's a practice methodology we use. First, step 1, I turn my hand like this. I'm actually going to have you let go with this hand for now. This is how you learn. So now see how my palm is up? Now I can see the point. It's very easy for me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap on this point, and I'm actually looking for the balance. So I know if I hit really hard, I can rip it out. Got it? But I'm not trying to do that. I want to see if I can get... Okay, that worked, but that was even harder than I needed. Let's see if I soften that up. Ah, do you see the delay? I hit him, and then his hand let go? See, I seek that in training to learn. That's the pressure point release. But then I can't count on that. So when I actually do the technique, I do it like that. So if I miss, I still am going to knock that hand away. Now, you saw what I did with this hand, but what I did with this hand is really important. I didn't do this. Right? I went straight at his face. Did you catch it? Straight at his face. If you don't go straight at the face, it doesn't work. It's not the same technique. If you go here, yeah. So he grabs with both hands. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm going to hit with his hand, his point. There it is. Boom. I just did Pinyin 3. When he grabbed me there, I actually am using his arm. Because when I do that, it actually messes up his circuitry better, right? But here's the other reason. Go ahead and let go. I'm not going to hit this time. See the control? In the Kata, I'm supposed to move forward. I'm controlling both his arms. Let me do that on the other side so you can see this. I go here, here. See, I'm controlling his arms. His arms are pinned. He can have it back. He has to pull it away. And before he can pull it away, I switch sides and hit him again, controlling. The downhand controls by pressing into the body. This is why in the Kata you step forward. So this is not right here. In the Kata, you're in a cat stance. You're in a cat stance and you step up. You step up. You're pressing in. The Kata comes feet together. It doesn't show you what stance to choose, so don't worry about it. Pick a stance. It'll work. It's like focuses in on the handwork. But the message is, get your butt in there. Watch his face. It tends to give me what I want, right? So I'm on lung meridian. Lung meridian's going to tend to feed. By the way, my hand is typically going up towards his eye. There's a strong relationship between the eye and the liver, the eye and the stomach. Eye is considered a wood element, and the lung is a metal element. So this hand just keeps wanting to go to the eye. And there are a bunch of points around the eye, so I'm very mindful about which one. But I typically, when I'm showing this, I just leave my hand a little lower, just because I don't necessarily want you punching that point above the eye, because it's kind of a mean one. So, but trust me, it'll be good. Wherever the hand goes, you'll see the body react, and you'll just be like, oh, look, my hand went there. That was perfect. And then just smile and nod and feel like a genius, because the Kata is. Go.
I said that one because most people, when they learn it, they just do that. And I remember learning it as a beginner boogie block.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, so most people just do that, which is not going out.
right?
And when you push that out,
There's, if you want to do that, then you do it off of a push this way, and so you do this. Okay.
I looked, I saw a little bit of empty in there, so if you
Just
push me,
so in other words, you're just gonna do your setup, but as a off a push. So just think of pushing my hands, right? And now, right? And then the down hand goes as you do it though. Control. Yeah. It's hard when I do these things. I just do them so automatically. So this is the hand that's going to go up, right? So this is the hand that goes down, correct? So push my hands together. Now grab my wrist with top hand. Push down.
yeah, but I'll tie myself up.
No, because I'm trying to give you exactly what you're used to doing. Because, right, you're used to doing this.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah, do that. Do that. This is the down hand. So you,
It's what I'm doing as I'm going.
yeah, so cross my hands. There it is. Now, as you do this, push this hand down and into my body. Now take your elbow and lean into me with your elbow. That's it. Feel that?
Yeah.
That's it. That's the feeling you want. So we can do it off of pushing as well, but I prefer this as a starting place because it also allows me to introduce a point. But when you get comfortable with this, then suddenly, so when I do the move, if I'm trying to teach somebody the movement, instead of going like this, I teach them. Right. Yeah, it's just a trick. It's a trick to get the feeling and to not get stuck with which hand is in front, and then it frees me up from my. Yes. Yeah.
That's why you got like that.
Yep. Yeah, and this application would be exactly the opposite, except for the.
Instead of the little hand on the inside,
Yeah.
you're going the hand
Right.
on the outside.
Exactly, but I'm not actually doing outside. I'm actually going forward and back.
I say okay.
Yeah, it's all forward.
Like
Yes,
I say,
yes,
I say okay
yes,
goes in front.
yes. Use that as your reference. Use that as your reference. So if you're doing this here, and then you say, okay, now here I'm doing Pinyon 3, let me use that same feeling.
Yeah.
That same
Instead
feeling
of
as
crossing,
exactly.
I'm going,
Use
going more.
right that same. Try to do it with the same kind of expression of energy, and then you'll have it. Yeah, I no longer know, right? I seriously, because the minute this is the danger. So this is my warning to you. When you start doing bunkai, if you have really good bunkai for your kata, the way you do your kata shifts and changes in some very interesting ways. Some of them are like someone will see you'll be doing a movement and they'll see you do the movement and they won't know why it's different than the person next to you doing the same movement, but they'll know it's different. And that difference is your intent, because the one person doing it is like, look pretty. And the other person doing it is like, knock them out. And that comes through. It shows up. I realized that by accident once. I had taught a student an application to a particular movement. It was literally like the weirdest. I was like, oh, so you've just done a kick, and then you go like this, right? And then I showed him what it's for. It was like, oh, crap, He said, I was really scared when you did that because I realized I was helpless. And I'm like, mm-hmm. So next time I saw him doing the kata, it's just like move, 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 move. And then he came to that movement, and all of a sudden it was different. And I was like, because he knows what it's for, that comes through. It also can change how you do the move. So if I'm doing, so the version of Shuto Uke that I'm so in my system, in Rikyu Kempo, we do it. We have this, and you guys kind of do that with a bigger circle, and then we also have this. So a positive, two-hand positive, and the other one's a splitting energy. So if I'm doing the splitting energy version, right, I'm working across the floor, and I'm doing that, I may be going across the floor, and they might look the same to you, but they're not to me, because that to me is not the same as that. I don't know if you could see what the difference was, but I did. Like, one I was attacking the neck, the other was attacking eyes, and when I was inside line, when I was outside line, it was just like, all this stuff is there. Were you ever told, visualize your attacker? Yeah, I just did. I could see my attacker right there in my head, because it was like, oh yeah, there it is. Oh yeah, there it is. It was easy to see. Also, have you ever noticed how in the kata you're always moving forward, but when we practice one steps with people, we always move away, right? Nod your head if that's true. True in Taekwondo as well? Yeah. But have you noticed in the forms, you always go forward. Which direction have I had you going? Forward. I always like step in, step on the leg, step on the, do this, right? In other words, I'm actually giving you the same direction that's in the form. That's why it's so easy. That when I wasn't doing this, I was trying to do bunkai long before I met Sensei Dillman. If you go back and you find like the second article I ever wrote in Black Belt Magazine, 1981, you will actually see me doing bunkai, and you can see some of the early expressions of ideas that now are fully realized, or more fully realized is probably a safer thing for me to say, in my practice today. But you can see like the seed. I look at them and I'm like, oh, I'm so close. Off by half an inch. Oh, I forgot to use that hand. But I can see the beginnings. But this is like early 80s, 81. And it's not for a number of years. I think I met Sensei Dillman in 88. So it took a long time. I kept finding myself working on bunkai for years. I wrote tons of articles where I showed, explained, covered bunkai. And I was just always right on the edge, and I was always missing something. And then he goes, pressure points. And I'm like, ah. And now it was like, that's the last piece I needed. So I've worked on these concepts for a very long time because I always loved kata, and I always wanted kata to make sense. And I was, when Bruce Lee comes out and says, you're dissecting a corpse, or, forms they waste you, they freeze you up, and they have no value. Get rid of that stuff. I was like, no, they mean something, and I wanted to know what. And so I've spent my life on that. That was, I don't know, was that a sermon? Somebody say amen. I want you to think about like you're doing Sanchin Kata, and your hands come in like this, right? And then they go out like this. Got that feeling? And I don't care about the out. Just do this. Okay? So your hands are here. Let your elbows be low and bring your hands like this. Elbows come in really tight. See how my hands are crossing? My hands are crossing over my heart like this. Okay? Now we're going to do this again. I want you to cross up high and then pull your hands down towards your heart. Now it's very important because I promise you that half of you are going to do this wrong. When there's a hand there, you're going to go like this and try to do it. Don't. It's exactly the same. You're going to bring your hands together, elbows close. See how I'm squeezing tight? Pull down towards your heart. Got it? Okay. I need both of you because you're both strong. And you have to pay attention to, I'm going to show you the mechanics of the movement, and then I also have to show you and help you understand the mechanics of double weighting. So can you grab me by the neck first? So here's the choke. Now, there's a couple things. First thing that you must never, under any circumstances, do is bring your hands up in between and then try to separate them this way. There's a bunch of reasons for that. One of them is that this direction is the strong direction, that direction is the weak direction. Don't put yourself in the weak direction. Put yourself in the strong direction. Here's the other reason. If he's got his thumbs hooked and I go like that successfully, his thumbs go like that across my trachea. Not good. I need to be able to breathe, but I need to change my mindset and not try to get away. And so as we're practicing this, at some point you're going to want to practice this against the wall. You can also do it on the floor. So here's the first thing. He's choking me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my hands in and then down towards my heart. See how it pulls the hands away from my throat? Okay, so do me a favor. Choke me. A little harder, please. See how he's driving me back? See, I didn't choose to go back. He drove me back. Do you notice how I'm talking really comfortably now? Because I got his hands off my neck. How did I do it? I just did what I showed you. But here's the part about not being double weighted. Do you see the angle I'm at? That's what I did. As he's choking me, I kind of turned one way and then the other so that I could get this clear. Now, I have a free hand. And now I have a finger. Okay? Now I bend the finger back, and I don't try to remove it. I try to hold on to it. Right? And then the last thing I do is I pretend I'm cold, and I shiver. Do you see him pulling his hand out, trying to get away from me? That's what I want. I want him to try to get away from me. This is called rescripting. We call this tactical rescripting. So now it's your turn. Same thing. Yeah, I know you choked me.
Oh, you choked. Yeah, you
Yep.
choked.
Right, now notice the difference in the arm positioning here. Do you see how his elbows are a little more out? Now, I want to show you this. Be strong. It's not working until I go the way I'm supposed to. Catch that? When I came down on top, I couldn't stop him. I had to hurry. I would have spent more time, but he was actually choking me. So just for that. So now let's, yeah, I did tell you to choke me. Yes, it was not bad. So I know this is, you'd have to use that wall. I just want you to see this, though. So I'm coming way over here into the corner. Right? All right, so this is a really bad position for me, right? Do you see me angle? Now notice his hands are open. Pick a hand, pick a finger, bend it back, push it in, shake it, like that. Run away. That's it. That's all I did. So all I did was, but if I kept going, because I'm training for myself, anybody know what I'm doing? I'm doing kata. That's the first half of the first move of the kata naihanchi. This is the first half of the first move of the kata naihanchi. We're going to start with a first assumption. Whenever somebody starts doing that thing, anyone can be ambushed. Best militaries in the world can be ambushed. Anyone can be sucker punched. Sucker punch is when you're just like minding your own business and all of a sudden somebody without warning just hits you. But the assumption is that this person is engaging you and they're talking smack or whatever, and you're like, hey, I don't know, how about I buy you a beer, but notice where my hands are. I am not going to stand like this. I'm a karate guy. Listen, I think you should not attack me. I'm going to start like this. And then, so I need a body. Understand, John is probably not, this is probably not the scenario that I'm going to get because he's bigger than me and he's probably not going to do that kind of sucker punch thing. First, show me exactly how it occurred in real life, what it looked like. Yeah, just like reproduce their action.
It was just like this.
Just like that, perfect, perfect. So I'm standing this way, right? And he goes to do that. You know the technique, it's right there. So when it comes in, this hand goes up here, lung 5. I think I was probably a little lower on lung. This is an extraordinary point, whatever. But I'm trying to hit lung 5 with this hand. And with this hand, I would love to get right by the wrist, ½ inch above the crease of the wrist if I can, with that chop. That's it. And my hands are here. So I go here, 1 this way. And notice that my body movement is bam, into it. In other words, so he throws a punch. I don't go away from the punch. I face it. If you have trouble with this, just offer tea to somebody back here. This will help you get the feeling. But the punch, I'm here, and it's like wham, right? And see where my hands are? This is the motion. And then what happens? We'll do this nice and slow. I go, boom. So that means that I can hit here, here, or here, depending on range, distance, body reaction, what happens. Yeah. What does the backhand do? Yes, thank you for asking. So what you have to understand is that this is an intentional teaching methodology where, because this is what we teach, this is the level 1 application to this version of knife hand, is that punch comes in and you strike here, bam, and then you do this. And now you're going to practice with each other, but you're going to want to do something with this hand. Do something with this hand, because it's going to end up here. Just make sure it ends up here. It's got to look like the move. You got to do it like the move. And be careful. There's a couple things to watch out for. I'm going to show you what to avoid. So I'm going to switch to, we're going to do it off the other side so you can see a couple of things. So first, throw it off this side. So if I do this, avoid doing this. See that? Don't do that. That's not the form. The form is this way. Why? Because if I hit him here, nothing happens. I have to hit him with a down angle for it to work. That pressure point is down angle. Yeah. So I don't have to think about it. I just have to. Yes. Now he knew. I don't have to think about it. I just have to Yeah. You already know the movement, you just do the move, but do it exact. So this is not, got to do it the way it's supposed to be done. And this hand's got to end up here. Don't have it here or here, it's here. Figure out what to do with it while it's there, because you're going to want to. Okay? Now try.
That's good, thank you. When Sensei Dillman came here the first time, he picked on me and knocked me out.
Of course he
So
did.
it's good. Yeah, of course he did. So when you hit me there, because exactly the same thing I was doing, he said, try to swing a punch, and it was exactly the same thing.
Bam.
Same points, same thing.
Yep.
Like, oh, yeah.
I remember this.
I remember this. It was good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, what'd you do with the hand? Yeah. You somehow engaged that punch. After you hit that arm, you somehow got it back and locked it to your body, and in some cases you ended up arm bar, so maybe you just held on to it. Either way, it was all good. It was all good. Right? So, but that means that I don't have to teach you what to do with that hand, because you want to figure it out yourself. This also means that, as from a teaching perspective, from the pedagogy, I have now enlisted you in the process of your learning. Rather than you doing what I tell you, you're actually figuring stuff out. This is what we want. All questions are allowed. I promise you, if I don't know the answer, I'll tell you. I may suggest a starting place, but if you ask a question for which I do not have an answer, my feeling around a question like that is I may suggest a starting place. Now, sometimes I can figure it out. I mean, I'll be honest. Sometimes a question will be like, I never thought about that, but oh, I can see what it is. You know, it's like the question opens up the understanding. This happens often. But if I don't know, then understand that, I may suggest a starting place. Could be this, maybe look at this. But you now have the homework assignment of figuring it out. So just be mindful of that. And that's good, because at some point then I hope to hopefully be back, at which point you'll show me something you figured out, and I'll be like, oh, thank you for letting me steal that from you. You do not have to do, if something I show you doesn't work for you, then fix it. Make it work for you. Figure out something that'll work better for you. Like whatever. I mean, but the only rule is you have to show me. And if I like your way better, I'll steal it from you. I may or may not give you credit, and I'm not kidding. Because I'm always looking to get better. And sometimes somebody's solution to the problem is better than mine because maybe they're a smaller, shorter person trying to figure out how to, I'm very little and I don't know how to make this work, and then they figure out a thing that I haven't ever had to do. So you were just working on this movement. So what we're going to do is we're going to still do that movement. Only now I'm going to do a completely different kind of application. This is very intentional. Because one of the things that can happen the first time you're training these methodologies is if you've never seen it before and suddenly somebody's breaking down kata, I said, well, here's the bunkai, and we'll do this. I mean, literally, it's a way to help people get somewhere. This is the application. This is the application, but then after a while you realize that is an application. There's not just one. There's the question is really, how can you use this? How many wonderful different ways can you use it? Once you start understanding principles, then you realize, we have an abundance of riches, but you can actually just pick one move and make everything about that one move. I could teach a kind of military version of fighting, like a combatives method that used nothing more than agi uke and then kneel down. That's the whole thing. Yeah, and it would be totally appropriate for the battlefield where the results are like bad stuff. We were doing actually a little of something that in my world is called self-defense rescripted, which is what I teach non-martial artists. When you were doing this thing off the choke this morning, we say this is referred to as welcoming the attack, or as it's mine, you can't have it. And then once you've done that, there's there's only three things you would do from here. You'd take a finger, you might do a particular point on the nose, or you might do some stuff with the leg. And it's really simple concept, very easy to do, and yet for people it can be revolutionary. And yet, what do we teach white belts? Same thing. we use all of these same principles all the time. So we can get complicated, or we can keep it very, very clean and simple. So here we go. I'm gonna get there in a minute, so trust me that this is not random. I'm gonna show you a thing, and then we're going to move it into the shuto that you practice, and you'll see how this works. So I need a body, somebody. When people grab the arms, and there are different reasons this kind of stuff happens, but this is not an uncommon way to get grabbed like this. See, this is on the upper arm above the elbows, okay? And usually if somebody does that, they're pushing you. So go ahead, grab. It's pushing me back, right? Help me, help me, help me. Remember what we did before? You brought your hands together like this, and you brought them down towards your heart, and then dance. La, da, 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 da. On a bright cloud of music, shall we fly? Ha, ha, ha. So let me show you what happens when I do that. We'll just do it on one side so you can see. I went like this. His arm bent. I brought this to my heart. Watch what happens to his hand. Bend, bring to me. That causes bend of wrist. See how this side, the little finger's starting to move up? Now when I simply move this direction, what I'm doing is I'm bending and twisting this way. This is a specific name. This is known as tahiragatame. We say palm turn or palm twist. It's a very specific technique to Okinawan Tuite, especially if you lineage it through Motoburu Uehara sensei into Taika Oyada sensei to Dilman. It's a very specific technique. Okay, but getting there is really easy. There's lots of different ways to get there. See, I just bend, go like that, go like that. Now, if he grabbed down here, that's at or below the elbow. When I do this first movement, see how his wrist is bending the other direction? Oh, wait, this is a different technique. This is what's sometimes called Nikkyo, or center lock, or S-lock, or something like that. So that also works, but for this training, right now, I want you to be grabbing above, and you just lock it in, pull it in tight. Then do both sides. Now I go like this. That's double-weighted, so I must not be double-weighted. So do that. Please work in groups of 3. So you have 2 different people you get to try it on, plus times when you're just watching. So when you're watching, you're training yourself, you're trying to figure out, see if they're struggling with it, what do you think they're doing wrong? Don't tell them, don't go like, you're doing this. I mean, you can if you're higher ranked than them, but if you're not, especially if you're lower ranked, then just wait for your turn and see if you can do it correctly based on what you saw. You're like, I think I know what they're doing wrong. Okay, my turn, and then see if you can do it right. Can you try this? So I'm going to take this now into the shuto. So this is a basic Tuite technique, palm turn. Do not worry about how you get into the technique. Like, what is the name of this thing? When I talk about the name of a Tuite technique, I'm talking about the manipulation of the joint, not how I get there. The Kata shows me different ways to get there. The particular manipulation is what I'm interested in. You were doing the particular manipulation, which is the wrist is bent, and that's about 130 degrees, and the hand rotates this direction. So it's 2 rotations, this rotation and that rotation. Those are happening at the same time. And this technique can be done on different angles. This is the main angle we do it on, is the one you were doing it on, without even knowing you were doing it. You were just going like this and going, hey, look, I can just, and everyone else is going, that really hurts and I can't get my hand back. So several principles there to pay attention to. Now I'm gonna take that to the other technique you were doing before, so I need a body again. Sure, Craig. Let's go off of the exact same grab. He's grabbed me, he's pushing, he might be pushing me backwards, and I'm gonna do my shuto, so my hands go down, and they come up, and they lock in, and I come here with my shuto. Do you do it in cat stance or front stance? All right, so wham, there's my cat stance, which means cat stance has different meanings, different aspects to it, but the key number 1 meaning to cat stance is the lead leg front kick. That's why it's held the way it is. And that's the target right there, because it's right there. So this is the move. This is what's called himitsu, or concealed movement. So kata has to show me and also hide things. So it tells me to do something, but it doesn't want you to know what I'm going to do. So you're not prepared. So it says, and kick him with the front leg. But it doesn't necessarily tell me to do that, but I'm all ready to do that. Do you get that idea? Okay. Part of learning kata is learning how to read the distinction between those 2 dynamics. Show and tell, I call it, like in kindergarten. Okay? So again, he grabs, I go here. This is one of the few times when, notice how this hand is on the outside line. Before you had both hands coming up outside line. This time I'm going to bring one hand inside line this way. Why would I do such a thing? This is not my normal, but because I want to get over here, but if once you have this feeling and you get this control and you're like, I think I got this, do this. Okay? So you get this downward motion, and now you're going to come up this way, like that. And then the kick. Can you try that? Just so you know, I'm kind of working predominantly now in the area of Tuite. So this morning I was focused more on Kyushu Jitsu, which is attacking the vital points. Everything I'm doing is bunkai, but I kind of started on the vital points, and now I'm doing the joint manipulation. So if you get a chance to buy this book, we're going to do another joint technique. And this one, the reason why this one is useful to learn, it's good for smaller people against larger people. But for the larger people trying to do it, it's also very good because it forces us to try to do certain kind of mechanics. So I'm going to borrow you because you're taller than me, and I need someone who's a little shorter than me. So first, let me show you the movement, the manipulation of the joint. I'll have you stand over here, and how to make it work. And then what I'll do is I'll show you where it is in the form. All right. So I'm still going to work off the assumption that my wrists have been grabbed. This can be one or a two-hand grab. So I'm just going to do, it's fun to train this off of two, but we're going to do one. So I'm going to have him grab, same side grab as opposed to a cross grab. Notice how I made him come to me, okay? So this is a common, okay, grab my wrist, right? Never do that. Learn to keep your hands at your side and make them come to you. All right, so here's the methodology. Just so you know, there's a pressure point right here. It's called small intestine 5. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that point. I'm going to reach down this way. So there's a couple things I'm going to do, and they all work together. So we won't worry about the inside pieces. I'll show you those in a minute. I'm using my fist. You'll probably see my hand go to this fist orientation right here. This is an Ishinryu style fist. So every style has its own way of doing fists. I do 3 different fundamental fist formations, which are stylistic specific. This is Tai Chi Chuan, this is Rikyu Kempo, and this is Ishinryu. The reason I'll do Ishinryu here is because of how it raises my thumb and the bone, because that's what I'm going to use. But you can just use your regular fist. That'll be fine. Do you see me kind of hook in here like this? See that hook? Okay, so I'm hooking, and you can see that little bit of bend happening. Now, I'm going to take my other hand, and I'm going to hook it. Again, I will turn around so you'll be able to see this from both sides. I'm hooking it under my other hand, and so my arms are crossed a little bit. You can see how now I've manipulated his arm. So his fingers are pointing down, his wrist is bending upward. Now from here, if I try lifting him, I can do it, but not very effectively. But if instead I sink, get low, and lift, that's what happens. Okay? You see that? Now you saw how he went that way, but if he's grabbed me with both hands, now he can't do that because I have both hands. Now here's the main thing you have to understand. If I do this, it doesn't really work very good. If I drop my elbows and my shoulders, catch it? Yep. Nah, yes. No, yes. I said hit the point's over on this side over here, right? Small intestine 5. But I'm going to cheat by allowing my knuckle to scrape across a point there first. That's a cheat. This is heart 6, yin ji. So I come across heart 6, hook. Now this, I'm sticking my thumb up so you can see this. I'm going to hook this way. See how my thumb is hooking? Now my arms are crossed. Now what I do is I can see I've got him locked. Now I just need to drop elbows and shoulders. Yep. Right? So if he does it with 2 hands, I go here. There's my rake. I trap. See, and now his arm is trapped. I hook under here. So I got my arms across. The only thing I don't like that when both my hands are tied up, but it's okay if both his hands are tied up too. Right? Now, actually in the kata, this is a cat stance because that means I kick with the front leg. Boom! He's up in the air and I kick his leg out. That'll work. Now let me show you in the kata, the way I was taught the kata, the specific movement in the kata, it makes a specific choice about which hand, and you go, I just went offline, but now I came back online, and now I got you, boom. In other words, it does this. It's this. In other words, the most important part of the movement is not this part, it's this part. And the key to this is not pull up, but drop your elbows. You see this rotation? Now it's your turn. Because now he's a little teeny bit shorter than I am. It's actually easier for me to do on him. So with him, I have to actually think, because if I just do it here, ain't nothing, I got to drop low. I got to start stancing down. And then, of course, I really prefer it with two hands. So I reach here, take you off your line, go like this. Yeah, see, once I get his center of gravity higher than mine, then I'm good. Pretty effective, huh? So this is not for blocking a kick. Let me show you why. You're a Taekwondo guy. Okay. Do you know how to do a flip kick? Do you know how to do that combination that looks like a front kick and then goes to a round kick? Okay. Yeah, now be very careful with me, okay? I'm old. So watch, he goes to do a front kick and I go, block! That worked, right? Especially if every good Taekwondo player, he's being super nice and super careful, but they don't know. I've never met a Taekwondo player who goes, I'm going to now kick you. It's always, I'm going to now kicks you, right? I'm going to kicks you. There's always, it's like 3 or 4. So if he's thinking in those terms, I'm going to kicks you, he goes, I see that coming, I go, boom, and I'm already feeding my head into his foot, and now I'm done. So it is not for blocking a kick. I'm going to take you to a different technique to help us get to this technique, because I know, I recognize that I kind of threw you in the deep end. I apologize. There's an Okinawan practice of teaching one hand at a time. So like when you learned karate, and the same with me, we were like, middle counter. So one hand goes out, and then one hand comes back, and the other hand goes out, right? You learn this sort of both hands moving. But here's how it's done typically in Okinawan practice. This is how they teach beginners. You go, one hand. Okay? And then later on, two hands. Well, there's a reason for that. It's because if you can get one piece of it, then it works. And then you're good. And I was teaching you both hands. So let's do one hand. It's going to start almost exactly the same way. So I need a body. But it will be a lot easier for you to do. I need a body. Anybody? Yes, your hand came up. Come on over. So I'm going to still use the, why don't you stand here? The sun is going to chase us. So you grab my wrists. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this hand like this. And I'm going to bring this hand like this. Underneath, and I'm going after that small intestine 5 point. And I'm going to go like this, same way. And I'm going to pull this out. I want to free it. Free Willy. Now notice can you see this position? It's bent against my body. All I'm going to do is grab his thumb. Okay, then I just need to step and punch. So let me show you this. This is actually, like if you were to go and study Isshinryu Karate. By the way, you've heard me talk a lot about Isshinryu. It's not because Isshinryu is like the brilliant style. It's because the style you do is more similar to Rikyu Kempo than it is to Isshinryu. What that means is it's easier for you to pick stuff up if I talk about Isshinryu, because the difference makes it easier to see. But if you were going to take Isshinryu Karate, the first thing you would learn to do is this. And some people actually, between every technique, will do this again. And that's all I did. I went, technique number 1 from Isshinryu Karate. So he's grabbed. I bring my hand across. I go like this, and I want my hand back. Then I grab something. Finger. I have index finger. You can do that, or you can do thumb. Doesn't matter. Whichever. It's up against the body. Then I just take a step, and I punch. Okay? So his hand goes like this, and then there's some turning involved. Can you see that? Now let me show you what can happen if you're like, yeah, now I remember cheating. There was a cheat where I was supposed to go across the heart meridian. Oh wait, his fingers are pointing down. Doesn't matter, just grab the little finger. So I do the same thing. So it doesn't matter which hand, if the hand bends this way or this way, just do the same thing, which is what's great about that technique. Again, remember, why would they grab both your wrists? Because you're going for your weapon. So like, I mean, I know people like, I have trained martial arts for decades, and no one has ever grabbed my wrist in all the fights I ever got into. And I'm like, you apparently don't live right if there are all those fights. But if you were going for a weapon, or even had one out, your wrist would get grabbed. If you had a knife out, the first thing they're going to grab onto that wrist. So that's the mitigating factor. A culture where people carried swords is a culture where wrists got grabbed to prevent you from drawing your sword, and you had to deal with that situation, which, by the way, changes the ending because it goes from here to here to, the sword will come out at some point. Yeah. Okay. Do you understand the technique? You can see how it's the same technique, but it's like I made it super easy so that we could get to the next piece more successfully. So give that a try. Thank you. So I know you're struggling, and it's unfortunate. So you need to know a couple of things right away about me. One thing is I always cheat. Even so, you can look for the cheats. You'll see them if you pay attention. I showed you one of them, where I touch the heart meridian before I go after triple warmer. I've tried to show you another one where I'm kind of like I do this with my thumb so you can kind of see where the energy is going and dropping. I'm telling you what the cheats are, but there are others in there as well. And I do them without thinking. So the fact that you're struggling, don't feel bad about that. Okay? Don't just because you're not used to doing these kinds of manipulations. And I promise you, when I first learned Tuite, I was like, can I just hit somebody, please? I just want to hit somebody. Right? So I struggle with it too. And it was a while before I felt comfortable doing Tuite. And then it was a while after that before I realized how closely intertwined Tuite and Kyushu Jitsu are. And a while after that before I realized, oh, hey, they're basically the same art and basically use the same principles. That when I talk about something, I can find its equivalent practice over on the Kyushu side or the Tuite side. I mean, it's just like really interesting. And so now, to me, I have trouble just teaching Tuite or Kyushu because they're not really separate. To me, they're always intertwining. So I'm trying to give you a little intro to Tuite in a way that will help you get there. But I totally get it. I really understand. So let me back away, and let's do it as like outside, easy to see, easy to do. You'll notice how I'm using my body. Everything, I'm pulling it right to my body. One of the rules is working your strength. Your strength is here, not out here. But I'm going to move the techniques out here a little bit so they're easier for you to practice and to learn. But understand that you always want to go into strength if you can. So no matter what it is you're doing, try not to do it out here. Try to do it in close. So we'll start with that as just a training model, and then I'll try to show you a few things that will help you get there in a meaningful way. So I need a body. Sure, come on. Okay, so let's assume there's a technique where what you do is you take the wrist and you bend it back this way. This is called, we just say wrist reversal because I'm reversing the wrist. Its technical name is kotegaeshi. Kote means, refers to your wrist and your forearm. So here's the methodology. The first thing is you're just bending the wrist back, right? And then the second thing is you bend the wrist back and then you rotate it to the outside. So there's an inside rotation and an outside rotation. So you're rotating outside. And you can see every time what I'm doing here. And the third piece of this is you bend the wrist back, rotate it, and then pull the bottom of the wrist towards you, okay? So it's bend, rotate, pull the bottom towards you. Got it? 3 things. Now, obviously, like let's say that I've been grabbed, and I go, crap, now I got to do this. When I apply, I do them all at the same time. And then I may add some other stuff too, like, oh, there's a pressure point there, and there's one there, right? You understand? It's like I'm giving you 3 steps to start with, but then I already added 2 more. It's like, whatever. And then there's usually a kick in there somewhere too. So just for you to start, your partner's wrist, you're going to bend it back. Put your thumb between their ring finger and their middle and their pinky. On the back of the hand, between ring finger and pinky. Do not go on the big knuckle in the middle. Just don't. Over here. Okay. The other part of your hand is just kind of cupping, holding, grabbing onto thumb side. If you know pressure points, what you do is you're going to lock in here on the lung meridian on lung 9. But if you don't, just reach around and pretend you're trying to get that big old muscle and just kind of hold on to that as tight as you can. Okay? If you're having trouble here, see how I bend see that bend right there? So this is a helpful trick. You make that bend, you stick that in there, that's now the nail, pound the nail. In other words, you take your other hand and you put this point of your thumb into the meat of your hand so that you can push. That actually increases, that's especially if you're like me, you'd have to do that for sure, yeah, right? And then, so it's bend, rotate out, pull bottom towards you, towards your strength. Bend, turn, pull. Now, I want to be clear about this. When I pull, I'm not pulling. I'm pulling here, the bottom of his wrist, which means to do that, this is all down here on my little finger side. I'm pulling this way. See, I'm pulling it that way. I'm not yanking it this way. There are times you would do that. Like if you're doing Ishinryu, if you're small and you're doing Ishinryu, that's when you do that. But in this case, I'm using this kind of scooping motion. Let me show you other side. I go bend, rotate, and then I'm putting the pressure down here and trying to bring this bottom part of his wrist towards me this way. See, that's what tightens it up. You could say, as I'm doing that, I'm kind of pointing his fingers back at him, and then that's the takedown. You just kind of keep going. So you go bend, rotate, pull, turn and rotate, they fall down, go boom. Try. Yeah.
Can it be on a fist as well?
What was it? Oh, can you do it on a fist?
Yeah, like say you Kamite, you
Right.
catch a fist.
Catch a fist. Yeah, so if I'm going to do it off a fist, I have to know the tricks. And there's a faster one and a slower one. There's like 3. So here's the first one. If I got that fist, I lock the pressure points. See the pressure points? Yeah, now that releases. That's one. Or I do these pressure points right here, this way, that way.
That works.
Here's another one that works. This is really interesting. Nice strong fist for me. Yeah. Oh, you're strong.
No, well, you asked me to be strong.
I did, yes.
But the other one's definitely got me.
But here's the thing. See right here?
I know it's coming now.
Dang it, I can't do it. So then we have to change to a different technique.
Manipulation.
Yeah, so I never fight it.
As you do.
But this will help release. You just smack it.
Yes.
Here's another one.
Yep.
Punch it, and then go. You can also do that this way.
Yeah, that works good.
Yep. And if you grab over here,
What was
bang.
the first one you did without the... it just was really effective when you grabbed that and you pushed in there. I'm quite
Okay,
interested
so
in that one.
first thing I'm doing here is I'm going to catch here and here.
Yep, that
So it's
works.
the long meridian.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to take this point right here. This is called heart 8. And that point there is called triple warmer 3. I touch my heart 8 to your triple warmer 3.
It's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, that it could be tough, but I don't know it's
Right.
coming. If I
Yeah.
don't
If you don't know
it's
it's coming, you'll never get there. Right. And
the
you're
first time you did it, I was totally
yeah.
perplexed.
Now I'm like, oh crap.
I wouldn't say that.
Right? You see what comes
I'm
in?
in a very bad position.
You are, and that's where I go next because I want your body turning away from me. So boom. Yeah. We're going to take this technique and we're just going to add a kick to it. So I need a body here. Right? So again, this is for training. So I'm not worried about how we get here. I mean, typically it means I've been grabbed, and then I'm trying to work my way out of the grab like this maybe. I don't really care about how we get there, just these things. I want the wrist to be bent, rotating outwards, and then I want to be pulling that in tight. But another way I can get a similar kind of body effect is if I can get this elbow, now that it's in this inner position, to rise up like that while the hand is going down. Got it? So I'm here, so let me bring this in tight. I'm going to twist down and go like that at the same time. And when I do that, it's bam, and then from here, kick, whatever's in the way. Either leg, boom, just kick a leg. So you go up and then kick out. But the idea is your knee comes up to assist your joint manipulation. Your knee goes down to mess up somebody's day. Try that. There's a principle here. It's called two-way action, right? So two-way action means that if I'm going like that way and I go this way at the same time. So let me show you what that looks like with an arm bar, so you can see the concept. So this is not I'm not using the pressure points I would use for an arm bar. Can you give me just a little resistance? Don't overdo it. So if I try to put him in an arm bar, it's very difficult. If I pull his arm to try to do it that way, very difficult. But if I push and pull at the same time, see, I just locked him out. Okay, and that's without using the pressure points. But there are pressure points. So there are two that we really love to use. So one of these 2 points is located, I don't like it hyperextended, or I'm more likely to actually hurt you, and I don't want to do that. Maybe I do. Is he a nice guy? Here's his elbow. Above the elbow is a tendon, and actually right by the elbow and then about an inch above it, there are 2 points. We usually just shorthand it and go triple warmer 10, but it's actually 10 and 11. These 2 points on the meridian called sanjiao, or triple warmer. By the way, in answer to that earlier question about the relationship between the meridians and the organs and stuff and how we think about it in Western medicine, there is one meridian that doesn't fit. This is it. Sanjiao means 3 fires, so you hear me say triple warmer as kind of shorthand. So in English, when we're talking about this any point on this, the way we abbreviate it TW, like TW11 or TW17 or something like that. Some people will abbreviate it SJ, that's Sanjiao, means 3 fires, triple warmer. Some people will abbreviate it TB, which means triple burner. The closest idea that we have in Western medicine to what they're thinking about in Chinese medicine is the idea of metabolic rate, especially as related to thyroid hormone. So sometimes it's called thyroid. People are trying to translate it to Western ways of thinking. But really, the Chinese way of thinking is more like hara, right? Hara? Well, what's the other name for hara? Does anyone know? I'm sorry, what? Yes, Tanden, right? Or Dantian in the Chinese pronunciation, which I do badly, by the way. So please, just because I say it a certain way. You should see me try to, I was trying to, what is it you practice? This was a Japanese person who's talking to me. What do you practice? I said, well, Kyushu Jitsu. What? Kyushu Jitsu. What? Kyushu Jitsu. What? And so I explained. We're attacking the vital points and blah, blah, blah. Oh, Kyushu Jitsu. I'm like, didn't I say that? Apparently not. And the same with French. My French accent and pronunciation is so bad that when I have a translator, I'm in France teaching and there'll be a translator, and every so often I'll actually say something in French, they still translate it into French. So the French can understand what I'm trying to say. It's weird, but funny. That is definitely in the realm of dark chocolate, sea salt, caramel. This is a rub point. This is a rub point. Okay, so I just rub between the points. So this is a terrible angle for me to be at, but just so you can see, if I rub this, see how it releases the shoulder? So if you give me just a little bend and a little teeny resistance, if I rub, it just releases really nice. So that jerking motion right there, and remember there's two-way action, so this hand is going to go down, see that? So I rub and push this way. This hand's going to rub, and this hand's going to push. Rub and push. This way. See how I'm pushing away like I'm punching? Now, you would never do that in a kata, right? There is no kata where you have done something crazy, like cross your legs really funny, and then you go like this. No katas do that, right? No kata would jump up in the air and go like that, and then you stand up and you go. No one would do that. You would never do that, right? There's no kata that does that. Am I correct? Wait, yeah, exactly. Katas let me name the ways. Kata after kata after kata has some variation on this movement in it. And it's actually a wonderful technique because it's really good for you're not in the best place to be. So I don't like being inside line, right? So suddenly this guy is on top of me and I've got control of one wrist and I'm in his power. I need to fix that. That's a good fix right there. So rubbing on the rub point, the hit point is up here instead. You hit. It's the same idea. You felt that, didn't you? Yeah. And when you do it, you're supposed to hit a stance, right? And then something comes next. I don't know what that is, depending on the kata. But something will come next. And it might be as simple as turning around. It might be like, okay, now I can go and I'll do a different technique. Let's do morote, whatever. But this action, this two-way action, all I'm doing is I'm pushing like I'm punching. Now, if I get, this is inside line. I hate inside line. I want to be outside line. Now, right? Punch comes. I got it grabbed. If you want to know the cheats, there are two. You can do either one. Cheat number 1 is see where my thumb is. That's pericardium 6, otherwise known as neguan. Neguan is a very, very important point. So you can do neguan, or let your hand slide down and bend the wrist this way. That'll work too. Then there's a rub point here, rub, and the hit point's up here, hit. Why not do them both? Hit, rub. Now, I want you to notice something. I went hit, rub, and then look at this rotation. See how I'm actually kind of aiming him back towards me? Now at this point, lock his leg, get into a really good horse stance. Look, I can let go and I still have control of his body. At this point, he's got hair. I love people with hair. I'm just doing, what kata is that? Teki Shodan. Yeah, that's Teki Shodan. Yeah, otherwise known as Naihanchi Shodan. So just try that. It's a hip point, it's a rub point. Work on the armbar, and then I'll give you the next piece to go with it. Go. So we're going to spend some time on stance. We'll start with horse stance, because horse stance is the most important stance. And I'm going to tell you something that you're going to see this for yourself. So don't take my word for it. Actually, find out by doing it. And that's this. If you do your horse stance like this, see where my feet are? I don't care how big it is. It's about the feet. It won't be. You won't have it. It won't work for you. But if you get it so that the outer edges of your feet are parallel, and it actually looks like your feet are pigeon-toed a little bit. They're not. It's actually outer edges, by which I mean the edge of the metatarsal. So not your toe. Your toes are weird. They can be pointing any old way. But that metatarsal pointing straight parallel. And a training methodology is use the wall to get the edge right. Use a hallway that's a certain width where you can, or build yourself a box. There is, by the way, if you want to do a perfect stance based on your perfect body structure. So understand this is at Okinawan martial arts. A lot of times we'll do stances based on your anatomy, like your feet are this far apart based on the length of your shin or something like that. What you do is you measure your inseam, so it's floor to huiyan, conception 1 point. And then you put 2 dots in the floor that are that far apart, and you put the point, which is kind of it's right there on the ball of your foot. It's called kidney 1, bubbling well. You put bubbling well on the dot on each side, and then make sure the outer edges are parallel, and that's proportionately, like in terms of your body, that's going to be like the magic stance. There's no rule. I mean, you can use a bigger stance if that works better for you. You can use a small frame stance. General rule is, though, your shoulders should fit between your legs, and if you start getting like this, then you start to lose some of the quality of the stance. So this is a very small frame stance and hard to work. This is a better small frame stance. You see how small that adjustment was? Right here, this is and technically a small frame horse stance. That's a little better for small frame. And then my usual horse stance, So part of the reason I do Ryukyu Kempo and Isshin-Ryu is that Ryukyu Kempo is large frame, Isshin-Ryu is small frame. So I can do both. I don't have to try to put it all in the same style. Yeah. So here's what you're going to do. I need a body. This is cooperative training. You are trying to learn about how stances work. So here's the first thing that's going to happen. Just your partner's going to feed something. They're going to have this leg forward. So this is right leg, right arm. So you just kind of pass out of the way. What you're going to do is you're going to hook. So think of it, we call this hooking the table leg. Hook the table leg. Make sure your feet are pigeon-toed in. Okay. Push your weight so it's a little more in the balls of your feet than it is in the heel. And then just sink straight down. Your knees will go forward. Your knees should end up ahead of your toes. Is there a hanbo here or a... yeah, I can show you this. All right, so here we go. See what happened to the structure? Right? Now, if I do this, it doesn't work. And what I'm thinking is pushing my knees forward. I don't push my knees forward. I hook it up. I'm really tight. I just sink. Down is the direction. You have this pressure is that you have this slightly, don't push your knees out like this, but there is a slightly outer pressure in here, like you have a balloon between your legs. It's called peng in Chinese, expansive energy. But the knees are going forward and my body goes straight. So watch, I am not doing this. See how my weight's on my heels? Can you see that my weight's on my heels? My weight has to go into the balls of my feet. See how that drives my knees forward? And I must be straight. You can do this at home, folks. Can you see that my knee is touching? Look at how far away it is from my foot. See that? That's kind of a long ways, right? I know. I mean, doesn't that hurt your knees? Not if you do it right. Because the strain is not on my knees. The work is being done in the tendons, especially around my ankles. And this set of muscles up here, these muscles are your shock absorbers. So there's an incredible tensegrity that happens. Tensegrity, do you know this word? Everything kind of intersects and locks in place. So, I mean, standing in a horse stance used to be hard. It's not. It's not because I'm used to it. It's because when the structure is right, your body just goes, whoonk. And if I get you in a correct horse stance, your shoulders will relax. It's the weirdest thing. I love this. If people are like, oh, it really hurts. My muscles aren't used to doing this and all that. But your shoulders relax for the first time. People are like, I'm in a horse stance. I'm like, let's get you in a correct horse stance. Pretty soon they're going, oh, my legs really hurt. Those muscles are not used to this. I'm like, your shoulders are relaxed. This is the yin, which means this is the solid. This is the yang, which means it's the relaxed and the dynamic. So do you see how tight this is? So if I'm using a stick as my reference point, I hook the tape. We say hook the table leg. This helps us get it. Hook the table leg, lock, sink. There it is. But if I do this, nothing happened. Then it's like, it won't work. Sink, sink, sink. Here's a simple training methodology for you to do. I lock him in here, and I'm going to lock the shinai in over here, and I sink straight down. His structure breaks. See the shinai? Okay, now watch this. I'm going to open it up a little bit. Stand up straight. Open it up. Wait, it didn't work. See that? It didn't work. This works, right? If I hook it, it works. If I open it out, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. Shikodachi doesn't work. Shikodachi is for something else. You're doing Nahanchi-dachi or Kiba-dachi. Then it works. Okay? Can you try that? So look, again, let's say he feeds over here. He's feeding with a punch or something. It means the leg is forward. He's got this leg forward. That thing, I went, oh crap, I didn't get hit. Oh, thank Jesus. Thank you, Lord. I hack in here, I lock in. I'm thinking armbar. I want him in front of me, so I get my stance locked up, and he's right where I want him. This is beautiful. So I'm just going to reach up, grab, suck him in right here and punch him in the side of the head because that's my kata, right? I'm just doing my kata. Beautiful. But let's say that when he throws that shot, I go, look where I ended up. Now I want to throw him because I'm not in good position. I need to get in good position. If I lock up here and then get my stance and I try to throw him, I can't. But if I do Shikodachi, down he goes. Shikodachi. Senkutsudachi, or Kiba-dachi, this is where the power is, and it's especially good on the diagonals. That's why when I went to punch, my punch is actually over here on the diagonal. Shikodachi, one of its gifts is the capacity to throw backwards. So if you want a technique to send somebody that way, do Shikodachi. So here's the technique. You're going to enter, however, you get this way. See how both my arms are over? I lock in with my Shikodachi, find a good Shikodachi. What I'm going to do is I'm going to think of my elbow as drawing a line towards Mingmen. Mingmen is this point on my back, about kidneys. Think of it, your kidneys. And I just pull my elbow down, and he fall down. Go boom. If I do the same thing, by the way, you've noticed I'm not helping him back up. This is not a lack of politeness. It's because it's how you train is what will happen under stress. Be mindful that what you do in your training is what you'll do in real life. You do your technique, practice running away. Make that part of the thing. Bam, 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 bam. Self-defense number, whatever. Boom. So that you're used to doing it, so it's there. How about vocalization? Right? We leave that out. And we go, oh, you mean ki? No, I mean, like, he's like, throw a punch. Help, this guy is trying to hit me. Right? All right, so anyway, back to the technique. Punch comes in, however, oh crap, hand comes over the top. I'm getting into my Shikodachi. So I do want you to try it in horse stance to see that it doesn't work. Switch to Shikodachi and watch him go down. By the way, you'll notice how I step away from it so that he doesn't pull my arm with him. Once I get it going, I just like let it go. And I don't, because he's going to want to grab onto my arm. I don't want that to happen, so I just let it go and kind of let my arm go straight. So he's like trying to grasp something that's hard to grab. Can you try that? Okay, go. All right, what I'm going to do now is show you something that's designed to kind of give you a couple of ideas at the same time. So first, let me show you the footwork I'm going to use. By the way, when you guys do Seichin Kata, do you do the angle, 45 angle, like they do in, okay. So if you think about this then, right, it's a 45 angle thing. So if I go 45 angle, and then I push my back heel away from me, and so I'm pivoting on the ball of my foot, I shift into a front stance without doing, I don't have to think about it, I just push my heel away and I'm in a front stance. So what I'm going to have you do, this is very specific what I'm trying to get you to do here. But I want you to know that wood produces fire in the five-element tradition. Shikodachi is considered a wood stance, and Zenkutsudachi is considered a fire stance. So it makes sense that from here, I can transition to that very easily because the wood produces fire. So again, I need body. This is a practice drill, so please don't get overly excited about it. Like, this is not a technique, it is for training. Give me a forward leg. That's okay. So I have to move diagonally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a Shikodachi that goes right here. So I want my foot on the outside and my knee just slightly on the inside. And notice, now, this is not me trying to get there. This is me finding my Shikodachi inside his stance. I sink down, and now from here I just push my heel away, and I'm in a front stance. Ta-da! Right? That was easy. So what that means is in a front stance, my foot on the outside, my knee on the inside. This is the primary way we like to use this one. Foot on the outside, knee on the inside. Okay? Seems pretty simple. But to get there, I want you to think of doing the footwork from Seichin, where you step 45. And then you just push your heel away this way. Now, I think in the version that you guys do, you do something here, 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 and then don't you do like a punch, or maybe it's an elbow strike? And it shifts from Shikodachi to front stance. Is this right? Yeah, so just do that. But the way I want you to make the change is just, if you're on a good, nice Shikodachi on a 45-degree angle, then you just push your heel away and just allow this motion to turn your body square and to sink you into that forward energy. Kibidachi, horse stance, is considered earth, which means it's considered to be neutral in its energy, or more accurately, it's in the Schrodinger state. In other words, it exists in hyperpotentiality. Is it yin or is it yang? Is it positive or is it negative? The answer is yes. And then when you encounter somebody, it will collapse to what it needs to be. So that's why horse stance is used first and why it's so useful. Because a lot of times it's like, hey, if I want to hit something and I'm in a yin stance, it works better but maybe it works better if I'm in a yang stance, right? So they get all this like weird yin-yang stuff, it can get very messy. But if you use a horse stance, you'll be just fine, because horse stance will just be what it needs to be. So it exists in that state of hyperpotentiality until the encounter with the opponent, and then the energy required you experience one in quantum physics is called the waveform collapse, and it will just collapse to the right thing. Other stances all have specific qualities. So this stance, Shikodachi, is considered wood, but it's just yang. This front stance is fire, but it's yang. The next two stances, the cross-legged stance and the cat stance, are considered yin. So not surprisingly, the way they're used will feel different. So where in both of these yang stances, yang has the characteristics of yang are expansion, right? I mean, just think of an explosion. So they expand outward. Think of the roots of a tree expanding outward. So this sort of fire burning, the heat radiates outward. So that's the quality. Chinese term for that is peng, but for whatever. The characteristic of yin is contraction. Yin contracts, yang expands. So the feeling is going to be different. The feeling is a contracting feeling. It's an inward feeling. So we're going to play those out. We'll start with cat stance. Very easy to work. So Greg grabs me, and he gives me a pull. So I go over here. Why do I go over there? Because that's the hand that he's going to hit me with. I'd like to get away from it. This is where he's strong. I want to get away from his strength. But I also don't want to fight him. So he pulls. I go, whoa! And then I hit cat stance. Look, I disrupted his structure. You see that? I just hit my cat stance. And then remember I said cat stance implies a kick? There it is. Target's right there. There's actually two targets. The first one is the groin, which I hit first, and then I kick. It's all the same motion. But don't do that part. Just do the kick, the extension part. So I did this. I went like that. In other words, he pulled me. I didn't fight him. I just stepped out, and then I just hit a cat stance. My cat stance engaged the leg. So right away, here's why this is a useful training. Number one, if he grabs, he's got that leg forward. I didn't have to tell him to do it. That's how people grab. Two, I like outside line. This is great training for how to get to outside line. Really like to be away from the threat hand. Kind of don't want to go like this. That's a problem. I'm pulled, I move, I hit my stance. I got this locked in. Now I can lift my knee into something, and I can kick something. And that's it. So that's the whole movement. How to find a good cat stance and what to look for. If your knee, so I'm going to do it wrong on this side, but only once, so pay close attention. This, by the way, applies to all stances, but it's most evident in your cat stance. See how my foot is pointing that direction? My knee is pointing a different direction. You see that? Knee and foot pointing different directions. That's going to screw up your knee. Knee and foot have to point the same direction. So how do you get there? The easiest way to get there is pretend that there's a swimming pool right there, and you're going to go swimming, but nobody gets in the pool without checking to see what the water temperature is first. So you walk up to the pool, and you test the water temperature. Try that. Just stand up and do that. Walk up to the pool, take a step or two, test the water temperature. Good. How do you feel? Look at, and by the way, stare at your feet. Notice the angles of your feet. I am not trying to teach you how to do cat stance. Your body is showing you the angles that it prefers. Your body is telling you these are the angles. Do you notice how it looks kind of like a check mark? So not open like a T, but it's kind of like a check, right? Your body's already telling you how to do it. Then you should be able to just lift that foot up and just test the water temperature without the knee wobbling. If your knee wobbles, push your knee out so you feel like pressure into the outside edge of your foot, and then you'll be stable. Got it? That's it. Now you know. Okay, this is just a body hack to help you get there. So here's the thing. You can trust your own body. It knows what's right. And it's unfortunate that, and I'm guilty of this too, before I learned that I could trust my body, and then I learned that meant that my students could trust their bodies, I was busy trying to tell people how to do things. And when I didn't understand them because I hadn't figured it out in myself, I told them to do it the way I was told to do it, and that wasn't always correct. And so people would step out correctly, and then I'd fix them. And now what I do is I look at how people do it naturally, and I'm like, yeah, that's what we want to do all the time, is find those natural things. We just do the natural thing. So you notice how I've actually been teaching you how to do correct stance work without teaching you how to do correct stances. I didn't say, turn your foot like this and stand like this. I said, well, do that. So if I go like this, and then I go like that, I'm going to be in a correct front stance. All you have to do is reverse engineer from there and just do it all the time when there's nobody in front of you, just see it in your mind. Same thing here. Whatever kata has you dropping into a cat stance, just think, like you're practicing on your own. You're wood shopping your kata, and you hit that point, you go, bam! And then just, can I test the water without this flopping around, without feeling any strain in my ankle or my knee? And if I can't, well, I better adjust. Test the water, and now reverse engineer. So if I know this is the position I want, then I go back to the preceding movement, and I practice getting there. And then I add the handwork, and I see what happens. Got it? Let your body teach you. Your body knows. Trust your body. It'll get you there. And our job as teachers is just to help you discover what your body already knows, and then get the head out of the way. And then there'll be the adjustments that we make for the particular issues around physicality and technique. So for example, proper front stance, but then you're doing oizuki. Don't you lean forward a little bit? So why would you do that? Now that's where bunkai comes in. You're like, oh, so just give me a leg forward for a second. So if I come in and I hit a nice, good front stance, look where his body's going. In order for me to hit him, I need to kind of just lean a little teeny bit. Don't overdo the lean. A lot of people overdo the lean. But a little bit of lean gives me the penetration into attack that I want. Too much lean means I'm chasing you with my fist. I don't know. This is where the work is being done. And the fist, I need that much lean to get the penetration I need. See, I trust this is a pretty proper, do I look like I'm doing a good Seido punch? Good, thank you. I don't know Seido, I just noticed you guys did that. So I just showed you how, if your stance is right, it makes sense of the rest of it. Why do we lean? Oh, more power. No, because once you break their structure, you need to get into them with that punch. So that's going to mean that after you break structure and you're hitting them, you're going to have to penetrate, and the lean is your penetration, but not at the expense of the structure of the stance, but it's what you need to do once your structured stance has broken their structure. See, your style is super smart, right? And you need to know, I'm not changing anything you're doing. I'm saying here's why it's that way in your system. Turns out, nothing really needs changing except how you think about it, and little things like keeping your elbows down on your shoulders. Those are just mechanics. But the rest of it is just all of the sort of distinctives are there specifically for real reasons. And now I'm way off subject. We're doing cat stance, right? Partner grabs and pulls. You just go to the outside line, hit your cat stance. So what's going to happen is if he's grabbing me with his left hand, he's going to have his left leg forward when he pulls. I move right leg, hit left leg cat. If he grabs with the other hand, pulls, that means this leg is forward. I step with this leg, cat with the right side. Got it? Mm-hmm. We've gotten through the first of the two yin stances. The other one is cross-legged stance. And I need to talk about that in two different ways, because there's actually two slightly different versions of cross-step stance. So one of them is this way. See how my foot points forward and my other foot crosses behind? And the other one, my foot points sideways and my body twists and rotates. Can you see that distinction? So I want to make sure that you're comfortable with both of those. So please stand up. We're going to do them together. And so the first thing I want you to do is I want you to step forward with your right leg, and you're kind of stepping, don't step straight ahead. Step in, do step straight ahead. I'm sorry, step straight ahead. Point your foot straight ahead, and then bring your other foot behind this way, and your body's going to be on a 45 angle. So if you try to do this with your body going straight, that's a different thing, so don't do that. This way, off the angle. Okay, let's do it on the other side. The left leg's going to go straight forward. The right leg is going to swing behind. Okay, so first I want to show you what that one's for, because you see that in your katas like Pinyin 5 and stuff like this. And you're going to practice this very interesting. This is predominantly about Taiubabaki. Taiubabaki is body management skills. It's how you relate to your opponents. So just guard up for me. Put a leg forward. Okay, so here he is. Get so you can see this. But surprisingly, where you guys are is really good. I know you don't think so. He's in front of me. I don't want to be in his strength or power. I would like to get out of his range. But if I charge him like this, I'm coming straight at him, and I felt the strength in his arm. He went, yeah, I'm going to fight this. So watch this. Did you see what happened? I stepped straight in, and then I suddenly moved off line. He's now on my 45 angle, and I'm in a really good position to hit him. And, a little bit of this, and a bam, and then I go here, boom, and then I'm, right, doing Pinyin 5. So, scooch away a little bit. So in other words, this applies to Basai and Pinyin. Part of the reason is because Pinyin 5 is based on Basai, in case you're wondering. Yeah. Is that if I come straight in this way, I'm missing the point. I come straight in, and then suddenly I move off line. I come straight in, and then I'm off line. It's that sudden shift off line. That's what makes this work so beautifully. It's a really interesting maneuver that suddenly gives you, they're in your strength and you are somewhere else. And it allows you to attack the back of the head nicely. It allows you to change your angle then and move at them this way. You come out of it into something else. I recommend wood stance because water creates wood. This is a water stance. Water creates wood. So you hit here, just come out into Shikodachi, or the other wood stance is Sanshin. But the point of the stance is this thing that takes you offline at the last minute. So you're going straight in and all of a sudden you're over here. Super easy to do, super effective. Try that with each other. So let me just make an observation about kata that will be helpful for you to understand and see how this works. So if you're doing pinya number 4 and you have this shuto combination thing and you do a front kick, what people will tend to do is they'll put their front kick right in front of them this way and then do this. But if you were going to set into a front stance, a proper front stance, your foot doesn't go forward, it actually goes over there, correct? So go front kick, set the foot over here like you're going into a proper front stance, and then come off this line. Okay? So that's a performance issue when you're performing the kata. But watch for that. And you'll see how that works, because if you kick somebody right in the middle and all of a sudden you're over here, because they're like, oof, and then you're like there, how did you get there? This isn't even pressure point piece. This is just the management, Taiubabaki, the way it handles space. There were like these two versions of the thing as the way it shows up in kata. So let's do the other one. Stand up and face this direction. Let's start with the right leg. What I want you to do is put your right leg forward, but point the out, so it's pointing this direction. So point the edge, the little toe side, not the big toe side. So, because if you point the big toe side, your foot's actually aiming back. Little toe side, okay? Put your weight on there and then bring the other leg up like this. Good. See how that turns your body? Let's go the other way. So I step here, my foot's pointing that way, and then I just roll into my stance. And when you can step out of this, I usually step out of this into a horse stance. The reason I do that is, this, for me, it has to do with a kata, Naihanchi kata, our primary reference kata. This particular kind of entry we call this a shiho turn. But the thing about a water stance, you notice how they show up in the kata, but you don't stay there? Right? There's lots of times when you get like front stance, you go 1, 2, 3, or something like that. But you don't do that, or right? All this stuff in the stance, but not in a water stance. You do the water stance thing and you get your butt out of there. Well, why? Because anytime you hit a stance, you also open up that energy to the opponent. In other words, it becomes accessible to them. Water is related to what's called yuanqi, or ancestral energy, or life force, you might say, connected to here, kidneys and Mingmen. So while it's incredibly useful in fighting, you incredibly don't want to stay there. Go into it, get out of it fast. So whatever you're going to come out of it with. Either something that's going to stop the flow of water energy, that's horse stance. Something that's going to capture the flow of water energy, converting it into something useful, that would be a wood stance. Or something that will regenerate the water energy, that's cat stance. That's why you get this kind of thing, cat stance. I'm trying to regenerate water energy. Okay, those are the most common responses. Sometimes you'll also come out of it into a front stance, less energetically useful, but useful for other reasons. Can you guys drop down so you can see this really well? Can you stand right about there? For now, for this training, just stick a leg forward. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my foot, and I'm going to put it here. Notice how my heel is at a right angle, and then I'm just going to hit my stance, boom, and break his structure. Here, 2. Okay? Now, that's the nice way. Okay? And you're going to do it the nice way. Can anyone guess what the not nice way is? Step on the foot. Because when I'm here and I do this, his foot can escape. If I'm on his foot and I do it, his foot can't escape. His ankle is trapped. And then we can hurt his ankle. Obviously, in training, not so good. So foot next to, just hit your stance. The idea here is to think of compressing and sinking and rotating, water going down the drain. So just think, I'm water going down the drain. I'm water going down the drain. It'll take care of itself. It's not that complicated. Can you try? It's unusual to actually use this stuff in this way. I'm just showing you how it can be used. It kind of works nicely. But I will tell you that most of the time, when I'm trying to affect that kind of result, what I'll do is something else that looks like this. We call it gotta go potty. It's kind of like you're halfway in your sanchin stance. You're stepping like sanchin, right? So gotta go potty. It's the central piece of a Tai Chi movement called walking. Okay, so when give me a leg forward, right? So I hit here and I drop this way and I crank that down into my stance, but you can already see that it's easier if all I do is step and just go, bah, gotta go potty. See? It's an easier application. What I'm doing is I was giving you this feel to help you get the feel of how this twists and drops. So if instead I pin a foot and I do this, wow, bam, now it's a much easier way for me to do it, but it's not very safe. So when you attack the legs, this is one of the easiest attacks for the inside of the leg moving forward. So you put your foot on the outside and you just go like this. Like, can we stop the car? I got to go potty. So we call it that because, that's me. Got it. Thanks for watching. Now go train.